It's hump day. Welcome to Midnight's Edge in the morning. They claim they're going to make Star Trek more like classic Trek again.
Waka waka.
And you may see new advertisements in old films. And what kind of Pandora's box does this open up? That and probably more this morning on Midnight's Edge in the morning. How you doing, Andre?
I'm doing excellent. It's a little bit windy right here, so maybe you'll hear the wind in the background from outside my window. But I'm inside, so all is good and well.
And also,
how about yourself?
I'm doing all right. We also have Rob with us this morning. That sounds promising.
Yeah, I see. I'm the only guy up and about this morning.
Well, I'm up, I'm about, but I'm not necessarily,
He's had a horrible morning dealing with Home Depot. And yes, go ahead.
Yeah, like I told you guys, people wondering what those cryptic tweets were, and Home Depot was supposed to deliver a couple items for me, and they never got put on the truck. So yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Yeah, I got a freaking tenant badgering me about when they're getting their sink fixed, and you're not helping exactly. So yeah, but I called them this morning and says, yeah, then we'll deliver them tomorrow, and we'll refund your delivery fee. I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't help me now. I promised these people to get this shit fixed. I'm like, they're not happy. So anyway, so that's where my day is going.
Well, we all have our crosses to bear, I guess. I wish I
had a cross to beer. I have a cross to bear. Across the beer would be great. I wouldn't be complaining.
Well, I'm sure we can hook you. I'm sure we can hook you up with a beer to make dealing with
one bourbon, one scotch,
bit easier.
One beer.
When I was 17, I had some very good beer.
Natasha coming through with a beer. Yes, is that a Grolsch lager from your neck of the woods? That's the only Dutch beer I'm familiar with.
I fell asleep.
The Dutch have amazing beer. You have to go to the Netherlands and try it out, Rob, at some point.
I've had Danish beer. I've had Norwegian beer. I've had Swedish beer, Dutch beer. I've had British beer. I've had a lot of Belgian beer too. You get Palm.
The Belgians do amazing beer.
Palm is very good. I've had Paulaner, which is really good German beer.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
But the only Dutch beer so far I've had is Grolsch Lager. So I'm going to have to expand my alcoholic palate, as it were.
Yes. And Natasha, our loyal wrench, already helped you out then a little bit with the beer super sticker. Beyond that, we also have the Hijabi Gamer in the chat. Greetings. And everyone, make sure to go and subscribe to the Hijabi Gamer. We have many others joining us as well. We have Bionic Sasquatches here, so that's pretty awesome. Everyone, watch out for the Sasquatch. Dash D's is here and points out that Canadian beer is wonderful.
Oh yeah.
We have Joachim Stark that prefers Carlsberg, and Sam Rogers, he really likes his Australian beer. Michael Miller prefers Hoegaarden. And Natasha, well, she likes her Grolsch. So yeah, brilliant. Brilliant stuff there. Many good recommendations.
Very familiar.
We also have House Atreides sending us $5 Canadian super chat. Nice. Thank you so much. Saying, "Hail Midnight's Edge. I rediscovered The Long Kiss Goodnight with Gina Davis, Samuel L. Jackson from 1996 after watching the documentary In Search of the Last Action Heroes." Ooh, that sounds like a nice one. That's also from the same In Search of Darkness people that we were also helping promote their most recent documentary of. And I'm sure we can show the trailer for that later. Till then, Rob, you were saying.
Hold on, let me find the photo. I have actually a really cool photo that I took relating to our beer discussion. If I could pull it up.
You took pictures of beer?
I took pictures of a brewery.
This is when I had this beer.
Damn it, where is it?
Okay, Rob, there's an app called Untapped that you really need to check out if you haven't already.
Yes, there is.
You heard about that? Untapped.
No, I have not, and I am looking forward to checking it out now.
Yeah, dude, this is the app for you. It's a beer app that lets you check in where you try different local beers from all over the world. You can review and everything. So check out Untapped.
Awesome.
That's the app for Rob and for every other beer lover in the chat.
Make Rob start a fucking beer channel.
Every other aspiring alcoholic and that listens to us. I'm only an amateur alcoholic, so here we go.
Yeah, but KitKat is working towards helping that with a £20 super chat saying, after the way the hacks trashed and degraded our beloved character of Spock, nothing they do can redeem them. The only times I have ever seen emo Slock is on Major Grin, and that is the only way I will ever see him. So yeah, and we're going to get into that very, very soon. And Darius Münchhausen sent us a super sticker, and Mags points out that she would watch a beer channel. So yeah, Rob, maybe you can.
Actually, a buddy of mine, actually, Johnny Benson, actually has a beer podcast. Maybe we should get him on. He's a stand-up comedian, really great guy too. I mean, so in case everybody wondering what this is I took this picture on my trip to Copenhagen. This is the gates to the Carlsberg Brewery, and you can't see them on the other side. There's 4 granite elephants that are representations of the founders' sons. So I mean that's of my extensive. So I shall seek out and find new beers and new civilizations. So that's my beer trap, part of my beer travels right there.
Yeah, and you also have to seek out Natasha because she has Russian family, so she knows all about drinking. I'm sure that they can go into plenty harder liquors there than beer too.
Da, comrade, we much catch moose and squirrel. Then have beer, much beer. Hold on, is this it? Let me see. Oh, here it is. Okay, this is actually the one I like to share. This is Rob sharing his vacation photos. Hey, there you go. So
there's actually very few people's whose vacation photos I would rather see than Rob's.
So okay, if you could if that's up for sharing, Tom.
So one more time. Okay, Tom, you do it.
You do it.
Okay, I do it. There we go.
Yeah, if anybody recognizes.
And the real Little Mermaid.
That's right, yeah. 2011.
Did she give you crabs?
Actually, you know what? I was very fortunate because the tour guide actually said that every so often that statue's head gets lopped off in a tribute to The Simpsons. So
yeah, I remember that.
Which is silly, but okay, that's kind of defeating the purpose. Jack Houston sent us, or Hudson, I'm sorry, sent us a super sticker. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and then we also have Spider Unlimited who says, for Andre, are your borders open? I received a vacation opportunity for the fall. Also, do you know Ghost? Well, to answer the first question, Ghost, I assume you refer to the Swedish band Ghost, in which case I am familiar with them. I've seen them live on, I think, 3 occasions. Yes, I've seen Ghost live 3 times. But I do not know any of them personally. I'm not a huge fan, but I like their shows and everything, so I'm familiar with them. If our borders are open, yes and no. They are open, but depending on where you come from, it's individual rules will apply as to how long you have to be quarantined, and you may have to be quarantined, but that's right now. How it's going to be in the fall, who the hell knows? I'm just as curious about that myself, because I was hoping to do some traveling this fall, like to Vegas or something.
Well, we'll get there. We'll get there.
But yeah, we just have to so if you get tickets, make sure that you can get them refunded without too much issue. That's the best advice that I can give right there, because who the hell knows what's going to happen.
And Arasaka the Fancy Goose actually brings up a subject we're going to get into here.
Yeah. And Arisaka says, I see adding ads in old movies only lasting as long as the studio's getting away from paying the actors. Contracts will have to start having provisions for it. Hold that thought for a little bit later today, because we are going to get into it. Before then, we have some Star Trek stuff to cover. And on that note, the Hijabi Gamer says, I got into Star Trek, the original series, through the books before the show. I hate the original series to show. The books are better. But I watched Deep Space Nine first and love that show. Yeah, Deep Space Nine is a great show indeed, and the original series was not for everyone. And if you discover it today, taste may vary. It's as simple as that.
Everybody has a different experience of being introduced to Star Trek, and that's what's great, though.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. That's exactly how it is. And also on that note, Joey Hollywood Films says, even if they're returning to episodic format, I have no faith in the creative team behind the last 5 seasons from them. I quit until some sort of change. Which is very, very fair, and I doubt anyone is going to give you any hard time over that. We certainly won't. And Max sent us a super sticker, so thank you so much for that. And Darius Münchhausen also sent us a super sticker. That's all I can bring up on screen. So before we move on, I'm going to go through the classic super chats that we can no longer.
Did you grab this one from the Hijabi Gamer?
Yeah, he just got that a second ago.
All right.
Yeah. I just got that one.
Right.
And so, starting with the classic ones, Mitch Thibault sent us a super sticker of a cute little Shiba Inu doggy. They're so cute. And Silver Nova says, I think that anything non-woke would be considered a strange new world at this point. Hail to the panel and all in the chat. Right you are on all accounts. And then Jack Hudson also sent us a little Shiba Inu sticker. And then we are actually caught up. And we do have a guest that we hope will be joining us before long. This is a guest that we would be very excited to have on the show, but we don't know exactly when he's going to show up. So until then, you're just going to have to make do with us, which according to some of you, isn't the worst of things. Stephen Otten says, hail Andre, Tom, Rob, Renches, and everyone in the chat. Yeah. These are dark times indeed. I'm glad you are here. Well, thank you, and we're glad to be here, and we're so glad to have all of you here joining us as well, because we can only be this little community when we are together in it. So thank you all for joining us.
Yeah, we'll have to make do with us. And, you're glad you're here, but give me about 10 minutes and that'll all change. So.
And then we also just got, let's see here. And we got from Michael Miller, sent us 35 South African rands, saying, if Emma Watts tolerates any more Kurtzman and Bad Robot content after Strange New Worlds, it's time for her to go. Yes, indeed, because she was brought in part to clean up Star Trek. And so far, we can't see that she's done a very good job at it. However, I have heard, not from some of our regular sources, but from another newer source that is a little bit more untested, which is why we haven't really run with it so much. We've hinted at it in the previous video, but what we were told from this source is that they are a little bit stuck by the contract given that was signed by Les Moonves on his way out the door. That was his way of burning down the proverbial castle on his way out of it. Apparently, and again, this is all rumor, I don't know if this is accurate, but a part of this contract was that Churchman and Secret Hideout, they were guaranteed 5 different series. So a 5-year contract and 5 series. CBS had to greenlit 5 if this rumor is to be believed.
Well, they have their
no way out of that, apparently.
They have their 5
problem.
series then.
Yeah, and that would have been fine and well if they had delivered good stuff. But since they didn't, then Amazon, Netflix, all of them, they want out, and the only way they stay in is if CBS picks up a huge part of the tab for shows where the audience have been chased away and that advertisers shun for that very reason. So with any luck, things might change after Strange New Worlds, because that is, as you point out, Rob, the 5th series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, STD, Pickard. I don't call it Picard. It's not Picard. It's Pickard. It's Strange New Worlds, Prodigy, and Lower Standards.
Yeah, that's the 5.
There you go. There's 5.
Well, and that goes along with what I was hearing, and that article said that after there's no new Star Trek until the current shows are done, which is code for as soon as these shows are done, our contract's up, and we ain't going to get anything new until then. And chances are it's not going to be from us.
Yeah, this announced movie, movies have been announced many times before, but has budget been allocated to it? That we don't know, and we also don't know with what clearing there was from CBS to announce this new Star Trek movie from Bad Robot. We do know that they have a history of dropping these leaks and announcements without them necessarily being cleared. I mean, that's not something that came from CBS directly. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But before we get more into that, as usual, they are rebooting their own series again. And the most recent thing we learned, and this actually came yesterday in an interview with Collider, where Anson Mount was the one who was relatively clear that Star Trek Strange New Worlds will be returning to the episodic format, which is a pretty massive change after everything that we've seen in the last few series.
How many times have we been promised and they haven't delivered, though? I mean, Picard's going to be more optimistic. Strange New Worlds is going to be episodic. Season 2 of Discovery is going to be more like the original series. It's going to be more optimistic, hopeful. They keep promising, but this is all they know how to do. Really, this is all they know how to do. They can't do any better. Well, why don't they do any better? Because they don't know how. It's there's a joke about I don't remember the joke. This about it's like, oh my God, they killed Kenny. On South Park. Oh my God, they killed Kenny. Oh my God, somebody help him. Help him? He goes, yes, help him. But they killed Kenny. Those bastards. That's where we are now. They don't know what else to do. This is what they do.
Well, and seemingly this goes along with a lot of what I was talking about with Robert Meyer Burnett, and that was that Akiva was going to try and somehow salvage this thing. And there was a quote from Anson Mount, if Rob wants to read that real quick in a private chat.
Yes. Anson Mount says, Funny enough, I only found out after Strange New Worlds was picked up that in the early days of planning Discovery, Akiva Goldsman, who's our showrunner, had lobbied to be on Discovery because he's a huge Star Trek fan. I'm not buying that for a second. Akiva is so busy in his film career that he didn't need to add a TV show, but he wanted to do Discovery. All he had heard about was that it was going to be a pre-Kirk show. So he assumed it was a good show. No, it was a, well, I'm sorry. So he assumed it was a show about Captain Pike. He gets in the writer's room and he's like, that's where you left it off there, Tom.
That's all Andre sent me.
Andre.
Yeah, well, that's the most important thing. Exactly how far did you go? Because I was busy showing.
Well, basically, it's almost confirming what we were saying, and that was
it is 100% confirming.
And
what
that was
because...
that Akiva Goldsman, who knows Emma Watts from before, came in and said, "Hey, look, I can fix this," and did Strange New Worlds underneath fucking Kurtzman's fucking nose, and that's probably what pissed him off. That's probably why he left for a few days. That's probably what was behind the whole blow up. And I'm not saying that Strange New Worlds is going to be better or good, but what that shows is the power struggle behind the scenes, and it does confirm what Robert and I were talking about, because what did Akiva Goldsman also do? He came in and took over for Picard as well.
He did indeed.
Yeah, a lot of good that did.
Yeah. And to continue the quote, what was said here, because you're right, it was cut a little bit early, but basically here is the confirmation that Alex Kurtzman is essentially cut out of this. It was Akiva Goldsman that is trying to salvage this now. What they don't say here is that he went over Kurtzman's helmet. They don't say that, but this is implied, because again, listen to this quote. What Anson Mount told Collider was that, funny enough, I only found out after Strange New Worlds was picked up that early in the days of planning Discovery, Akiva Goldsman, who's our showrunner, had lobbied to be on Discovery because he's a huge Star Trek fan. So that's like the first takeaway. They didn't reach out to Akiva Goldsman. Akiva Goldsman reached out to them because he wanted to be involved with it. And then, adding on to that, Mount says, Akiva is so busy in his film career that he didn't need to add a TV show, but he wanted to do Discovery. All he had heard about it was that it was going to be a pre-Kirk show, so he assumed it was a show about Captain Pike. He gets in the writer's room and he's like, wait, what? This is a different show. Okay, all right, we can play with this, but we've got to do another show. So basically what he's saying is that Akiva Goldsman never wanted to do Star Trek Discovery. Not really. He wanted to do a Pike show the whole time. But he continues. So Akiva was lobbying for it and lobbying for it and lobbying for it. And then Mount says, I got lucky enough to be cast in the role for season 2 of Discovery, and they didn't tell me any of this. Thank God, because I would have been far too nervous. I just thought it was a one-season gig, and that was it. So basically, what Anson Mount just confirmed in this quote is that Strange New Worlds was always Akiva Goldsman's baby, and Akiva Goldsman was always interested in returning to the true Star Trek. What I'm seeing here is distancing. They're trying to make a separation between what was before and what Akiva Goldsman is doing now.
This is going to be essentially saying this is going to be a soft reboot.
Well,
of Kurtzman Trek, really.
Of sorts. This is the last show, but can I, Andre? Since
sure, go for it.
I fucking knew it. Oh.
Thank you.
We gotta get the Dr. Cox one on there. Wrong, 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 wrong. Just for that occasion when people are grotesquely wrong. But
well,
anyway.
I've got one for that already. You didn't see it yet?
No.
You know, it's amazing. You are 100% wrong. I mean, nothing you've said has been right.
I love Kermit. Oh, Kermit's a treasure.
That was from the Muppets Take Manhattan.
Andre, if you ever go to Washington, D.C., the original Kermit the Frog is in the Smithsonian.
Oh, cool. I'll make sure to go there next time I go to Washington, D.C. I've actually been there before, but that's so long ago it doesn't count anymore.
Okay, cool.
But
So yeah, this confirms all the stuff that Robert and I have been talking about all this time. This adds a little bit more weight and levity to all the other stuff, or not levity, but weight and what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, gravitas, yeah, to the stuff we were talking about with the possible Khan series, and maybe even Nicholas Meyer possibly being back in the fold. I mean, yeah, Gravity, that might work as well, Rory. It's early. Give me a break. It's morning.
Okay, here's a question. Does the Khan show happen now?
Oh, I think so. I think it's on the table now. And I think that's why Meyer got pissed and called Robert Meyer Burnett.
Speaking of Nicholas
Or
Meyer,
not called him, but he emailed him or whatever.
Yeah. Speaking of Nicholas Meyer, I was watching Time After Time again this weekend. It was a very underappreciated film.
It is. I have that on Blu-ray.
Malcolm McDowell, Mary Steenburgen.
Great movie. You ever seen that one, Andre?
I have not.
Oh my goodness. There we go. That's one to add to the list.
Yeah.
You know what it is at least though, right?
Is that like the nuclear thing?
No, that's the day after.
Oh, that's the day after.
Yeah, that's the day after. This is the one where not Sherlock Holmes.
H.G. Wells.
H.G. Wells and Jack
the
the Ripper, where Jack the Ripper discovers his time machine and comes to the modern day, and then H.G. Wells has to follow him.
Sounds
and
really
hilarity,
stupid and lame, but I guess it
actually is pretty good.
Trust me, Andre. The premise sounds really dumb, but it works really well. It's surprising.
That's the most important thing.
Okay, like H.G. Wells, basically, it's kind of sets up like, yeah, he wrote all these science fiction stories, but what if he actually has a time machine in his basement?
A working time machine, yeah.
A working time machine, yeah.
And he gets to the future, and it's not quite what he envisioned.
But not just that, his best friend is Jack the Ripper. And when he's trying to get away from the cops, the reason that the cops never caught Jack the Ripper is because he used H.G. Wells' time machine to get away.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's an out there premise, and it sounds dumb, but the execution is fantastic.
Oh, that's all in the execution.
Malcolm McDowell plays H.G. Wells. He plays it magnificently.
David Warner plays Jack the Ripper, and then
Mary Steenburgen,
of course, is Mary Steenburgen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because then she's in Back to the Future 3 where they talk about a bunch of H.G. Wells stuff. So
yeah, you sometimes have weird things like that
going
on. But anyway,
wasn't she in that other time travel movie with Christopher Reeve as well?
No, that was Jane Seymour.
That was Jane Seymour. Okay, I couldn't remember who was in that one. All right. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, what was that
moving on in any event. So basically, what is being confirmed here is something that we have reported for months already, namely that Akiva Goldsman is the savior of Star Trek, or now he apparently is being billed as that. I have one big worry with that, though. But before I get into my worry, I want to hear what you guys think. How confident are you guys that Akiva Goldsman is the right person to bring Star Trek back on track with Strange New Worlds? And how excited are you for a return to the episodic format?
Well, I hold out little hope. But the thing that I'm excited about so much more has nothing to do with what's going to be on the screen, but what we've been hearing about behind the scenes. And that's where, like, I know something's happening, and I feel like we're heading towards the end of this fucking nightmare. Because Lord knows they're not going to bring back Kurtzman. It would be suicide. there's no way they're going to bring back Bad Robot. I have a feeling after Strange New Worlds runs its course, we're going to have just like a little patch of nothing happen. And then maybe they'll do like the Con miniseries to get it back into the old school kind of thing. Unless Kiva blows us out of the water and really manages to find a way to make this show work, make it feel like classic Trek, and kind of fix all the problems we had with the last few shows. I don't see that being a possibility. Like, that's such a minimal because Akiva, let's be real, Akiva Goldsman, his heart may be in the right place, or his wallet may be in the right place, but I don't think the guy's got the talent. I've never seen anything out of him that's been worth a shit.
No, I'm not hopeful at all. Like I said, these are the same people that as Script pointed out in the chat, he's been there since the beginning. Why should I have any faith that he's going to get it right now?
Not only has he been there since the beginning, he directed the finale of Star Trek Picard. You know, the one where they were so proud of giving Data and Picard their final closure, although it was just copies of each of them, so no one got any closure, because Picard was dead at that point, replaced by a robot replica of himself.
No, I think the original ending.
Well, he still directed it. I don't care what the original.
No. I know, but he came in late in the game, is my point, and I'm not giving him any fucking excuses at all. But I think that original leak was what the original ending was, and then he came in and changed it. Is what I was going to say.
Yeah, remind me, what was the
original ending? Was similar, but instead of Picard being downloaded into the Gollum, it was Data, and it was a female Gollum, like what's her face,
Soji or whatever, Dash or whatever.
Yeah, so it was a way of bringing back Data, and then I don't think Picard died in that version.
Well, that would have been better. Then he went and changed it for the worse.
Yeah, they made it worse. They made it dumber.
But again, that was from the Reddit leak or whatever, so I can't confirm.
I don't know that that's...
But we do know the ending was changed because What's-Her-Face said she filmed all those scenes, and then they reshot it with, What's-His-Face, who plays number 2.
Riker.
Not Brent Spiner.
Jonathan Frakes.
Jonathan Frakes. Because the originally all his bits at the end were originally shot by Captain Hubris Lady.
Number 1, I order you to go take on number 2.
Yeah. But that would have been better. It would have been so much better, the original endings. I mean, like, if Akiva Goldsman was the one who went in, and I don't know that this is the case, but if he was the one who went in and he changed the original thing that you told,
Picard might have died. I can't remember now.
Yeah, but in any event, if it was like Data being downloaded into the female body, that would have been 1,000,000 times worse than Picard dying and being downloaded into an identical replica of himself. That's the most stupid thing I've ever seen. I mean, it's worse than Spock's brain.
I don't know. I'd have to dig up.
Even Spock's brain has a certain charm to it, even no matter how bad it is. You know, I mean, there's a certain, you can enjoy it on a certain level of it being so bad that it's, you know, that it's, you find humor in it. You know, very good. Like Spock giving McCoy directions on how to reattach all his synapses. Very good, Doctor. Like, and I shouldn't have reconnected his mouth. You know, but at the same time, it's just like, you know, I watch Red Letter Media every so often, and the whole thing about the premise that this was built upon was nonsensical to begin with. That Data had this really deep friendship with Picard. He didn't. He saw him as a crew member, a valued crew member, but he was a crew member. He didn't get that upset when Data was exploded in what was the episode with the collector, who has the most toys, I believe it was, TNG, and he was looking to replace immediately. There was no big to do. And he goes, "Joy, we found a suitable replacement for Lieutenant Data at Ops." You know, he was ready to move on. Geordi was Data's best friend. Geordi was the one that was most affected by him. But no, they built up this big bromance between Data and Picard. Yeah, it was more so in the movies, but at the same time, and that's what Rich said about Alex Kurtzman. He's only watched the TNG movies. And from that,
if you're lucky.
Yeah, from that you get the impression that Data and Picard are best buds. They're not.
Well, I'm going to run through real quick. This is Kiva Goldman's writing credits. Okay. The Client, okay, movie, but it was written, it was a book, so I don't count it. Silent Fall, don't know, haven't seen it. Batman Forever, we've all seen it. We know the original version was better, so that's one in his favor. Batman and Robin, there goes that out the window. Lost in Space, even more out the window. Practical Magic, that was well received, so I'm going to give him that one. Beautiful Mind, well received, going to give him that one. iRobot, let's not even talk about it. Cinderella Man.
Tom Rothman was involved with that one.
Yeah, so. I know. Again, yeah. So Cinderella Man, though, that's his big crowning jewel right there. Okay. I believe he won an Oscar for that.
Yes, I was involved with that. What of it, Andre? What of it?
Then we got I Am Legend, which the original version of the movie is better. I don't know which one he has more to do with, so I'm going to leave that one as a tie. Angel and Demons, less said about that, the better. He wrote for quite a few episodes of Fringe, which that was a pretty popular show. He wrote Winter's Tale. He wrote on Insurgent from the Divergent films. He wrote The Fifth Wave. He wrote Rings, which was the one that flopped for Paramount. He wrote Transformers The Last Night. And, oh, by the way, Rings is also the excuse they use as to why they didn't make a Friday the 13th movie, which makes
so it's his fault. So Akiva Goldsman killed the Friday the 13th franchise.
Yeah, that's an excuse they used. I don't buy that shit. But anyway.
You know, Tom, I will give him this. The first 2 acts of I Am Legend were actually pretty good.
Well, I like the original version with the original ending.
That's decent.
Yeah, that one's all right. But then he wrote on Transformers of the Last Night, which that's the first Transformer movie he wrote on. So that's I guess he came in.
That honestly wasn't. That was actually a kind of a step up from what had been before.
And it was the 4th film in the series. So what are you going to do?
I believe,
or 5th,
But I'll say though that it's at the same time the 3rd act of I Am Legend completely falls apart and just becomes a generic monster movie.
In the original, in the theatrical version, yes.
Theatrical, I've seen the ending of the uncut, the original uncut
version is better. And then he worked, of course, on The Dark Tower, which notoriously that film is. Then he only worked on 3 episodes of Star Trek Discovery: New Eden, Will You Take My Hand, and The Vulcan Hello.
Thought Gaze, I Am Legend equals the Omega Man. Actually, I like the Omega Man better. It's campier for the time in the 70s. 1971, I think it was 72 was released. But
not done. But then he worked on Titans in between. He actually worked on that quite a bit. Then of course he wrote one Star Trek.
He hasn't been involved with the worst of of modern day Trek.
And then he wrote Children of Mars for Star Trek shorts. That's the only one he did. And then on Star Trek Picard, of course, he's all over that shit. And of course, Strange New Worlds. And then he's got a Ringworld TV movie coming. That's his writing filmography.
Oh yeah, Ringworld. Yeah, I see. That's an interesting concept. It'll be fun to see. It would have been fun to see what someone other than him could have done with that.
But basically, you're saying, Tom, is he's ridden one success he's had.
Sort of. I mean, I'm curious how much of I Am Legend, the original version, is his, and how much. I don't think he had anything to do with the final version so much, is what I'm saying. So that might be another one in his favor. There's a couple things in his favor. If he really is truly a Star Trek fan, see, we don't have anything to really go by other than what, like Andre said, he worked on Picard, and if he's responsible for what happened on that, then all hope's out the window.
Yeah, because to me, Star Trek Picard is the worst Star Trek there has ever been, bar none. And what we don't know is what did he do with it? Because he wasn't a showrunner. Yeah, he helped.
He eventually became a showrunner, actually.
Yeah, but okay.
Yeah, but he didn't start out that way.
No.
I mean, like, it was like the damage was already done by
That's
the
what
time
I'm
he
saying.
stepped
I'm not
in.
trying to give him any excuses, but then again, yeah, we don't know what he
Well,
did.
what we can say about those things is that they were a team effort, and it took many talented people having much groupthink and making each other inept in order for that to happen. I
Yeah.
don't think that a single writer involved there, if left completely to their own devices, would have been capable of coming up with anything that bad. Like, we would have been in far better shape if any single one person in the writing room had been left completely to their own devices than them working together. Because by them working together, we saw like this from the black writer who was ousted.
Walter Mosley.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
For having used the N-word in a conversation, and someone took offense to that. In such a writing room and such a creative environment, they are inadvertently going to end up playing a game of, can you top this? In terms of pitching and coming up with bad ideas. So bad that it just can't happen in isolations. They made each other inept. And of course, the showrunner's to blame for that. So here's to hoping that that he wasn't one of the instigators that made it as bad as it was.
Well, the thing is, just because he's a fan of Star Trek doesn't mean he understands it.
No.
Exactly.
That's
And
the
that's
other
what
thing.
I was saying, yeah.
And I question how big a fan he really is.
Well, we got going in the favor is Anson Mount's quote. Is that he came in and he's like, wait a minute, this is supposed to be pre-Kirk. Where the fuck is Pike? You know, at least he knew that much. Granted,
Yeah, that is a start. But again, I always say that they don't have, like, the people working on this stuff, they don't have to be fans. They have to be skilled, and they have to recognize what fans see appealing about it and latch onto that. That's all that's needed. That's what Nicholas Meyer did. He wasn't a fan. He still isn't a fan, but he was able to understand the property. He was able to understand, aha, this is what is appealing. This is why it's popular. I'm not a fan myself, but I intellectually understand what people find appealing about this. So now I know what my take should be. That's really what we need. Like, you have had many writers who have been fans. Like, Uwe Boll is a fan of the properties that he's worked on. That didn't freaking help.
No, and I get that. And like I was going to bring this up too. Script Doctor says he may have even only known of Pike from the 2009 movie as well. That's a very big possibility.
Absolutely.
Well, the only thing I'll give him in this instance is that this show, the only thing I like about this show, or at least that I kind of get a kick out of it, is that this comment from Anson Mount proves a little bit more of what Robert and I kind of heard and were unsurfacing and figuring out and all that kind of stuff, however you want to put it, and the people I talked to and whatnot. And that is that Akiva Goldsman did this underneath Kurtzman's nose, pissed him off, and he did it mainly out of the reason, whether it was for a selfish reason, which it clearly was, but the other reason is because he probably wasn't liking what they were doing. So I'll give him that much, if that's the case. If we go into Strange New Worlds and it actually kind of has a Trek feel to it, and it may not even be in the right, timeline per se, but you know what? Even if we go in and we're like, you know what? I had fun with that. I might actually give it a shot, depending on what the trailer looks like, kind of thing.
Yeah. I have always maintained that this alternate license under which this modern day Star Trek is made under, honestly, it doesn't matter. They could have made the best Star Trek ever under that license. The license and the timeline are completely secondary. The only thing that matters is the talent and the skill of the people involved. And that is what has been screwing us over. If these exact people, if this talent had been working on the original Star Trek under the original license, we would have been in the exact freaking same position. Whereas if someone like Seth MacFarlane, or better yet, Ron Moore, had been working on on Star Trek under this alternate license, we would have been in a far better place than we are right now. So it's the talent of the people involved that is the potential salvation or the potential damnation. So far, it's been damnation, but here's to hoping that maybe this will be the one thing that Akiva Goldsman can do. Lord knows that he's failed with many other things. But what has me worried is a little bit too is that he seems like certain other writers only to be as good as the people that he's working with. If he's working with a really good director, like he was on The Beautiful Mind, amazing stuff happens. If he works with a bunch of inept people that are only interested in toy sales, then Batman and Robin happens. But who's he working with now? Who is the creative person that understands this, that can help steer this in the right direction? If he was working with someone else that got this, I wouldn't worry. But him left to his own devices, yeah, I'm not that confident.
Well, like you said, like I said before, just because somebody's a fan doesn't mean they get it or they understand it. I mean, like I love basketball. I could never coach basketball. I'm not about to suggest I could coach basketball. But at the same time, like I said, just because he loves Star Trek doesn't mean he understands what makes Star Trek special.
Right.
And we've seen that from everybody working on even I found interviews where Kurtzman has even said he's become a fan. I'm like, yeah, I don't believe you're a fan. I believe you might be a fan of the pew pew and everything else.
He's a fan of the shit that he writes. Yeah.
Yeah. But you're not a fan of Star Trek there, buddy.
Alex Kurtzman has made one of the most horrendous quotes I have ever heard in conjunction with Star Trek. I don't recall exactly where he said it, but it's even on video. We have to see if we can find it. Where basically he said that after he had failed with Spider-Man and he had failed with the Dark Universe, he was in a really, really dark place. He needed like another universe that he could set together, and that's when Star Trek landed in his lap. And that was perfect because he needed Star Trek. It's fair enough, and then comes the bad part. And Star Trek needed him.
No, it didn't.
He was so arrogant as to believe that his creative vision was what Star Trek had been missing all this time. But now when Alex Kurtzman could work his magic on it, then Star Trek would be fine again.
Star Trek needed him.
For the first time.
Creative vision. It's the creative vision of a man who's had his eyes poked out. That's what it is. Oh, for God's... Yeah, I've heard that quote. Yeah, Star Trek needed me. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. If they sat on Star Trek and did nothing with it and just kept repackaging the old shows and Blu-rays and just kept putting them on streaming services, they would be in a far better place than they are right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because they wouldn't have killed the toy sales then. Because at least
Star Trek, yeah. I submit that Star Trek is in the worst place the franchise has ever been in its history right now in this moment. Much worse than after the original series was first cancelled and everything looked grim. It was in a better shape right then, because there you had a fan base wanting more, and you had reruns and syndication that were ever newer and newer generations would discover it. Now what the hell do you have?
At the height of the Rick Berman, like Brandon Braga era, you had like 4 or 5 series? You had a ton of movies. I mean, Star Trek was at its healthiest in the early to mid 90s. I don't think anybody will argue that. Yeah, okay, then the burnout started to settle in.
Well, let's look at it this way. It used to generate what, $30-40 million a year easy just in
merchandise.
I bet that's in the tens of thousands now.
I would say maybe hundreds of thousands. Yeah,
and most of that comes from classic shit, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, listen, we can argue. Like I said, the whole thing is He's a fan of Star Trek, of his shit. He doesn't get what makes Star Trek special. All the stuff like the uniforms and the ships and everything else, that's just aesthetics. Seth MacFarlane has proven that he can take a property and he can apply the same type of Star Trek storytelling to it. And it doesn't matter what the ships or the uniforms or what the cast or what everything else looks like.
No, because you could slap Star Trek Orville on there, and I would think it was a Star Trek show.
People have dubbed the Voyager theme over the Orville, the intro to the Orville. I was like, it's so beautiful. Like I said, it proved he's doing Star Trek, but he's doing Star Trek without doing Star Trek. And they told him, yeah, go away, kid. Make your little cartoon about fart jokes.
And not only that, he managed to do a Star Trek without any of the classic characters. Mm-hmm. Without changing the aesthetics that much. And even though it's not in the Star Trek universe, it's still in that Star Trek aesthetic. He did all that without having any of the Star Trek to work with.
That's right. That's right. Like I said, he took inspiration from Star Trek, but he built something wholly original. It's an homage to Star Trek Next Generation. We get it. But he gets everything right. It's brightly lit. It's optimistic. It's a universe you want to live in. I don't want to live in the Kurtzman verse of Star Trek.
That's a dystopian hellhole.
That's terrifying.
No, and that's a great point, because Gene Roddenberry set out to build a future in his mind that everybody wanted to live in. And that was kind of the whole point, is that we had gotten so far beyond our own hangups, our own problems, our own diseases, our own insecurities for the most part, that we were out exploring the world, trying to, help others, or exploring the galaxy, not world. Jeez, I need to go back to bed today. Fuck. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, anyway, there's not much exploration going on in the world of Star Trek Discovery.
Just exploration.
All we learn is that the future is completely messed up. It's only going to get worse and worse and worse the further into the future you get. It's a complete dystopia, among the worst I've ever seen in any fiction.
But we have hope. We have Mikey Spock.
So yeah.
That's the most exciting thing we got out of Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, and guess who gave that guy his name? Me. Yeah. They couldn't even be bothered to give that guy a name.
Well, no, that's the truth. If you go back and listen to our original Discovery reviews, we could not remember their names for the life of us, and it wasn't because we weren't trying. It was because they gave us nothing to work with. You watch Star Trek The Next Generation or Star Trek the original series, within an episode or two, you already know everybody's name. Mm-hmm. They do it in a way that it's not annoying, but it's like, okay, you understand the character, you understand who they are. I know who Worf is, I know who Picard is, I know who Kirk is, I know who Spock is. Hell, I even know who Scotty and all them are. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't take you long to figure out who, and we know them on a first name fucking or last name, one name basis.
And there was a guy in the transporter room, engineer Kyle. You knew his name. There was a guy that only appeared on 2 episodes, Riley. He was a helmsman.
But we had to give them all nicknames because we didn't know their names.
Yeah,
and we weren't going to bother looking them up every goddamn time.
As Natasha points out, Lisa Left Eye, Mrs. T, LeBron James,
not Sulu,
not Sula, Nebula. Now you have what? Now they have the new girl, Blondie. I don't know what her name is. Blondie. We just call her Blondie. Yeah, good enough, Blondie.
Yeah, that's that's former Nebula.
Yeah, we know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like she got tired of wearing the makeup. Yeah. But like I said,
we got Timmy, and then
Timmy. Yeah, we got Timmy. Yeah. But like I said, it's even the people on lower decks. They mention them by name. It's more of an ensemble show. But even we can't keep their names straight. We have Geordie LaForgery. We have Green Tilly, and there's Dr. White Man Bad. We have Not Riker. And what else? There's a couple other ones. I can't remember.
Not Mikey Spock or Mock Spock.
Mikey
Spock.
Maki Spock. I don't know what her name is.
I think that's what Doomcock called her. Yeah.
They named her Beckett Mariner. BM, Bowel Movement. We'll call her Bowel Movement from now on.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's what's sad is that Lower Decks was the best we've gotten out of this Kurtzman trek so far. That's what's sad, and that's meant to be a fucking joke. Mike Miller's sent us a super chat. We're gonna go back order here. We're gonna get through these.
Yum Yum Lady. Sorry, Yum Yum Lady. Don't forget her.
Yeah, don't forget her. Star Trek Discovery and Strange New Worlds have the wrong uniforms. Deal breaker. Look, I mean, and I get that because there's a lot of fans that they're really, and that's the thing with this series where I just don't even understand where they think they can get away with fucking with canon and the aesthetics of the show is because this is one of those shows or one of those franchises where the fans pay attention to that shit. They know the ins and outs of every single ship and, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm not one of those fans, obviously, but I know those fans and I respect them. And I don't know how they think they're going to get away with that. But see, I wouldn't even personally have a problem with that. And I don't think a lot of fans were if the storytelling was just decent. And I think that's what Andre was getting at before, basically.
Well, that's another thing too. Like I said, the uniforms are just aesthetic details. That's all. You can have the different uniforms if you get the nuts and bolts right.
I'm sorry, the uniforms in the first Star Trek movies suck ass. They look crap. They look like lounge uniforms.
Another character I brought up in chat, Nurse Akawa. She was only on a handful of episodes, but we still remember her.
Because they're like onesies or whatever, aren't they, in the first movie?
Yeah, onesies. And from what I heard, they took parts of those uniforms and they just dyed. They gave them red peacoats and they had the Star Trek II uniforms. The Wrath of Khan is essentially a soft reboot of the movies.
See, and those uniforms I like better. But see, those uniforms now gear more towards like the naval style.
They're more militaristic, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's good and well. I don't mind that.
Yeah,
No,
see, and I don't have a problem with that, but I can understand where fans do. That's their bag, I mean, I'm not going to knock them for it. So
yeah, I mean, what do you think? I used my character on Star Trek Online has the peacoat, but I made it green just to give him my own little thing,
So it's a green peacoat.
Yes, it is.
Troy Pacelli says, "Is the Timmy meme a raw robot Shlomo production?" Yes.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's all Rob all the way. Because if you think that the writers of Star Trek you could actually come up with something as clever as that, I'm very sorry to say you have another thing coming.
Well, they're dumb enough to put somebody in a wheelchair on a spaceship. Let's not even get into that shit. And then the last older one I can bring up is Xenobit. Says there are 3 types of Star Trek fans. 1, the progress of science. 2, interacting with aliens. And 3, vroom, pew, pew, go boom. I don't even know if there is that third kind.
Well, there is now.
Star Wars fans.
I mean, it's called the Vulcan Hello. That's
what I'm saying. Like, no true Star Trek fan really is into the vroom, vroom, pew, pew, go boom shit. That's Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then Stephen Otten came in with a newer one that said, "See Drinker's video about why canon is important." Absolutely, I love that video. Great,
yeah, it's a great video.
Yeah, he's
really
is. Well, Drinker does a lot of good work.
Oh yeah, of course. And then Xenobit come in one more time and said, "Classic Trek shows had characters' names in every single opening scene sequence." Yeah, they did they did it like the Stan Lee way. Mm-hmm. Like you do it unceremoniously. You just kind of make it a part of the dialogue. And that's where he always did with, superhero origins. He found ways to mix it into the story without making it feel like it came out of nowhere. You don't have to have this big flashback. You just find ways of, talking to the characters, showing a character trait so you get to know them. There's just little things that you can do to make a character memorable that they don't do on the newer shows. But I know we have some classic super chats as well.
Yeah, we do. And I actually can bring a classic super chat or two up on screen. But Rob, before that, you were saying.
Yeah, well, like I said, the whole thing, John 42 is pointing out, do I know what a P code is? Yeah, I know what a P code is. I'm just using that as a general, I got the term wrong. Okay, I'm sorry. But at the same time, like I said, the whole idea behind Star Trek, I mean, one of the things I noticed actually, first thing right off the bat, when I saw the first episode STD is no captain's log, no first officer's log, no opening exposition to sort of bring you into that world. I'm like, yeah, something doesn't feel right about this. And they still don't use it. They've used it in a couple episodes, first officer's log, But that's an important part of Star Trek. It's an introduction to the world. It's introduction to the episode. It sets the stage for what is to come. It provides perspective. And the fact that they don't do a simple thing like that really is telling. It really is. It tells me that you know what, guys, we're doing it our way. Screw you.
Agreed, Peacoat.
All right, and then to get into
Cyber Soldier says with $5. Go ahead, Andre.
Yeah, how in the hell are they still getting money for these shows? They need a producer like Moore or Bear to save Trek. Actually, I can answer that. Here's like the thing. That the people that actually get money from these shows, Secret Hideout, they do get money. And here's why. In their contract with CBS, they have that CBS has to pay them a production fee. This is a substantial production fee. It doesn't matter if CBS never sees another penny from the show. They still have to pay this production fee to Secret Hideout. Then Secret Hideout would also get a kickback on all merchandise and everything like that that's based on their license. And of course, there's very little such merchandise. There's some, but there's very little. But that little, they do get a kickback from. Not per sale, but for it being made in the first time. For all the t-shirts, for all the shitty little toys there are, someone actually had to pay Secret Hideout money up front to be able to do that. So Secret Hideout, they earn a shit ton of money up front. That is why they are so determined to do this and to latch onto it for that money that they get up front and for what they have the potential of getting in the back end. Now, the people that are screwed out of money here are first and foremost CBS, as well as everyone else that are reliant on getting money back from the audience or other commercial partners. They are the ones who aren't making any money of it. And that's why, for instance, Netflix passed on Picard in the first place, because it wasn't making any money for them. So yeah, that's basically the answer for that. Let's see if I can bring up some more classic super chats here. I think I can bring up at least one more. Yes, I can. Dash D's says for 20 Canadian dollars. This will sound weird, but I came from an area that used outhouses before we had town sewers. Even though they were all full of shit, some were better than others. Everything deserves to be judged on its own merits and faults. Well, Dash D's, thank you for sharing that story. I don't quite see how it's relevant.
I kind of get it. I do. I kind of get the analogy. I really do. I think I know what he's going for there.
Yeah, but just to be absolutely certain
Or she, I'm not sure.
That, but Dash D's does have an update because Dash D's also said in a follow-up, I just reread my last super chat. I think I forgot my meds this morning. So, yeah, but in either event, thanks for sharing that story. We could all use a little laugh and some outhouses every now and then, because that's always hilarious. And then next is a super sticker from Grand Wasu 42, who sent a cute little doggy. So thanks for that. And Sino Bit, I love that name, says, one problem with modern entertainment media is the crap social commentary. There is too much saying something is wrong and not explaining why. No, because of course, if you explained why, then you would actually be telling intelligent sci-fi, whereas the propaganda that these series aren't interested in why things are the way they are. Instead, they're interested in hammering down a narrative and saying that the solution is to burn it all down. That's what they're saying. And then after that, they're a little bit more unclear about what's going to happen. The future of Star Trek Discovery, I guess, which I certainly would call a dystopia. But that's me. And then Kit Kat says, it's Lucy pulling that football away from Charlie Brown. every time. And just to be clear, right now I'm reading the classic super chats I can no longer bring up on screen, but just so that you know what I'm doing. And then Michael Millard says, Meyer was originally sidelined for making competing content after negative fan reaction to STD trailer. It also scripts owner by Secret Hideout. I think you're trying to say that, yeah, that Secret Hideout is the ultimate owner of the script that Meyer wrote, and that's of course correct. He worked for hire. Actioncom wonders, do you think Jack the Ripper would like the 2020s?
No.
I think he'd love it. Disease, crime, mass shooting. Come on.
Yeah, it's just like home, apart from the shooting bit. But yeah. No, honestly, we know actually very, very little about. I strike that. We know nothing about who Jack the Ripper really
Actually,
was.
they have a good idea now of who it could have been.
Yeah, they've had that the whole time. There have been so many different theories, but
there was one that came out like 2 or 3 years ago where they actually had like
the one where they said it was a woman.
No, it was a different one.
Yeah, because
but it was because of one of the witnesses' accounts that wasn't originally put in, and there was some other deal. So like I think it was a cop, if I'm not mistaken. Or a doctor. They thought it was a doctor, but I think they thought it would. I'll send you this one thing I found a while back that kind of breaks it all down.
Yeah, sure, go for it. But still, I submit that.
Well, of course, we'll never know.
You can have many theories, and some theories may be more plausible than other theories, but we'll never know. It's lost to history.
Well, there's somebody who broke down like just the whole entire because. Like how far they had to walk, certain people had to walk, or not so much that it was a cop, but the cop could have nailed the person who it was at one point, because there's no other way it could have been anybody other than Jack the Ripper, was kind of what it boils down to. It times it all out with which cops were on duty and who was actually on the streets at the time and all this shit. It's pretty good kind of like breakdown of you're pretty like 75% sure of who it was.
Yeah, exactly. Well, but as Judge Dredd says, can't convict anyone on 75%.
No, I know, but they're all long dead anyway, so
yeah, it kind of doesn't matter anymore. But
it's just more of one of those like, oh well, with modern technology, we might be able to kind of figure it out.
It's a fun true crime, one of many, one of the more notorious one, but still one of many.
The fact that it's unsolved gives it the lasting air of mystery to it. That's
exactly. As I said, another one of many, because it's many just like that. And moving on with the classic super chats that I can no longer bring up on screen. That 70s rock fan says Anson Mount stars in Star Trek Nacelle on Wheels. Nice one. That's cool. I see what you did there. Very cool. Hypergiver 2 said, the only way I can give New Trek my money is if it gets William Shatner's seal of approval. That would be something. Which actually reminds me, something amazing happened on Twitter the other day. Did you guys see that? It was the birthday of Sulu, and William Shatner congratulated him.
Well, that's awesome. I didn't see Star Trek doing it.
No, but you know who they did congratulate?
I know where you're going with this. Go ahead.
Yeah, but why don't you follow up? Who did they congratulate? Whose birthday?
Translate Crusher and their girl boyfriend it was.
Yes, half of Translate Crusher has birthday today, and that they saw fit to congratulate. Not those problematic old dudes.
Stop the Asian hate, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Got a problem with Sulu?
Well, evidently they do.
I'm surprised Rob didn't break into Sulu.
Well, Rob is
must be busy. Oh, maybe Home Depot finally showed up.
No, they're showing up tomorrow. Oh my. Oh my, yes. Somebody mentioned my name?
Well, yes, I don't know if you missed it, but yeah, we were talking about how George Takei's birthday was overlooked, but half of Transley Crusher's wasn't.
Oh, yeah. There you go. I was the original LGBT person on Star Trek. You got a problem with that? I was representing before you were even born.
Actually, he has a problem with that. He didn't even like it that they made his character gay in the
Yeah.
And I
J-Pin movie.
understand that completely. Even I thought that was incredibly disrespectful when it happened. I was like, wonder what the hell are they doing? Because because there you have like, not only was he a gay actor working, he was also an Asian actor working in a big role in a time where there wasn't too much of that, and then they retroactively go and say, hey, you know what? Since you are gay, we're going to go back now and make your character retroactively gay too. How you like them apples?
Which for an actor
As
like
an
that,
actor, yeah. Sorry, carry on, Tom.
well, I was just going to say, first of all, somebody who's already living under the shadow of a character like that is bad enough, and then you go and make the character more like them in real life. First of all, that in and of itself is kind of like a big fuck you to the person. Secondly, it's just insensitive because without even asking George Takei how he felt about it, and he clearly let his feelings be known. I don't know if that's what you were going to say, Andre, but go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, what I was about to say is that to me that's just disrespectful. It's like, hey, you have like this little thing, and we think that is so awesome that we are no longer going to separate you, the person, from you, the actor, and the characters you portray. So because you are gay, your character is going to be gay now too. And to a professional actor whose job it is to become other persons, that to me only seems incredibly insulting and offensive. And then it's not specifically a matter of him being gay. It could be like any like thing. It could be like, oh hey, we happen to know that, say for instance, just a random thing that that your dog died. So therefore, we are going to write into the show that Sulu has a dog, and that dog died, and it really shaped the character.
Yeah, that's similar to kind of what I'm saying, but like it's the same thing.
That would be like okay if it was like done there and then, and with his blessing, that would be one thing. But when they like retroactively say that this is one thing that defines you and your body of work so incredibly much, this is before you as an actor comes this particular part of your identity. So we're going to highlight it so much that it's even going to bring into the characters you portray. How is that not offensive? How is that not insulting? Or to put it another way, say for instance, take Robert Downey Jr. Like it kind of worked for him with Iron Man, but it's like, okay, every single character that you've ever played, we're now going to go and retroactively change into a drug-fueled maniac. There's like something retroactively offensive about it, I certainly think. And feel free to disagree. Tom, you're muted.
No, I was just I don't disagree with you. Rob's the one who's quiet. He's quacking.
Yeah, well, I was running into somebody on Facebook. I'm saying about how they killed off their heavy hitters in the MCU. I'm like, did they kill off Hulk or Spider-Man? I'm like, yeah, shut up. Go away.
Well, yeah, kind of, because they emasculated Hulk, so they kind of did.
Yeah, we used to, as he say in my neighborhood, yeah, go play on I-95, okay?
Yeah. What else we got for classic super chats?
Yes, for other classic super chats, we have. I think we are pretty relatively caught up there actually. So one we have that we can bring up is Xenobite, who says if Jack the Ripper were around today, he would get cancelled by SJWs because he isn't cruel enough. Yeah, or maybe because he didn't put his pronouns in his Twitter handle. That would also be a pretty good reason to cancel him right there. And Stephen Otten says, in Picard's first captain's log, you understood who he is, what the new Enterprise can do, and how the universe had moved on in the meantime. Intelligent writing like that no longer exists. Well, I think it exists, but the problem is that it's not allowed to appear on screen, certainly not in high-profile productions like this. That's a problem, but I do believe that you have writers that could do it, if allowed to. And Kit Kat wonders, where do CBS shareholders come into this? The pension funds, for example, which will have to explain things to the pensioners. Well, I do recommend that the shareholders do ask critical questions, because until they do, they don't. Not really, because CBS is supposed to produce value for their shareholders, something that they have been failing at in a rather spectacular fashion, and there are many reasons for that. But some of the bigger shareholders, like those that are involved with the pension funds and everything like that, absolutely should be asking the question, what the hell are you doing? How can you allow this to happen? And if they don't, that's actually the shareholders failing in their own responsibilities to their clients. So, yeah, they really need to get on that. They absolutely do.
And I mean, in Star Trek is only. Oh, go ahead, Andre.
That's just one part of it.
Yeah,
but you know what? In terms of entertainment brands and franchises, Star Trek is something that's supposed to be like a golden goose that keeps on laying golden egg after golden egg, and it doesn't do that anymore.
Well, they have another golden goose.
Poor asset management. That's the kind of asset management that they should question.
Well, they have all kinds of bad problems. From what we've heard, they have another golden goose they can't keep working correctly. One that I care very much about and could be making them all kinds of money, probably even arguably more than Star Trek. But they have fucked that up too. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I was about to say.
They have done nothing but fuck that up so horribly. And every time I hear horror stories about what Paramount has no idea what they're doing with it. It's fucking Ninja Turtles. How hard is it? And it's almost like they've gone out of their way to destroy it. Rob and I watched that first episode of Rise of the TMNT.
Oh god, it was horrendous.
Unfucking watchable.
That was horrendous.
It is just, oh my god, it is just
nobody. You know what, Tom? Nobody is there. Nobody's there in the room to say, "Hey, let's not overthink this." Okay,
they've got nobody there for IP brand management at all.
But everybody wants to reinvent everything. Hey guys, don't overthink this. Okay. It's ninjas, it's turtles.
Well, and they got SpongeBob too, and they're getting to the point where I'm surprised they haven't completely and utterly destroyed that. But I don't know how this SpongeBob baby things is gonna go. I don't know.
Yeah, remember the whole thing in The Simpsons with Poochie?
Yeah.
Remember that?
How can we forget?
They do these things by committee. I'm like, that I imagine is not too far off. If script is still in the chat, I mean, he could probably attest to that. That's probably not far off from what they do.
I almost cry when I hear the shit I hear coming out of there, because Ninja Turtles, Star Trek, these are franchises that are evergreen and shouldn't have a problem. It's not that hard. And yet they can't seem to see and figure it out. Like, oh, this old stuff keeps selling, but why? Why doesn't this new stuff? I don't get it. I don't know. You know, it's like, oh, Jesus, because you're fucking doing it wrong, you idiots. I'm sorry. I'm passionate about this thing, and it goes deeper than Star Trek is what I'm trying to say. There is nobody over there who knows what the fuck they're doing when it comes to IPs.
Well, actually, there are, but they are not in power, and that's
exactly.
Viacom is I wrote a script about this a couple years ago. Viacom is creatively bankrupt. Viacom and CBS is, now that they joined forces with CBS, they are even more so. There was a 99-page document being circulated when they were trying to oust Philippe Dauman, detailing how how creatively bankrupt they were. That they were making. Viacom was home to some of the healthiest. I won't call them the biggest. There were some of the healthiest intellectual properties in the 90s and early 2000s. South Park, The Daily Show, Comedy Central. You had a lot of really healthy IPs, and then you had Philippe Dahlman come in. Nickelodeon, and he actually famously said the word. Yeah, MTV. He famously said the words, "Do we really need Colbert and Jon Stewart?" Well, congratulations. Now you have neither. But that just shows you the thinking.
That's just another small portion of it, though.
Yeah, but that just shows you the thinking that they jettisoned everything. They tried to go, and you motherfuckers, they tried to go with a millennial demographics, just seeing purely on numbers. Oh, this demographic is huge. We're going to appeal to them. Well, guess what? You failed. We've seen it. We've seen it across the board. Just like the whole extreme trend in the 90s. Remember that? That failed too.
Well, and the other thing is they were one of the first companies to take a very anti-fan stance, going against Star Trek fan films, right? And then they've made it almost difficult as hell to do anything with any of their other IPs.
Well, not only that, Tom, they used to sue people for putting clips of any Viacom television property up on YouTube.
That's what I'm saying. They have made it so difficult to do anything with anything they own. Period. And I can't get into details because it'll give away certain sources. But and nothing they have over there, I think, has got any chance of going anywhere as long as they've got the people they have in charge. Okay, I'm going to say it flat out like that. That's probably the best way I can put it. Well, and that goes across the board with everything.
Well, that was part of the reason why they brought in Emma Watts, is to right the ship.
And I hope she does.
To help right the ship.
Wish her well with that. Problem is that they've locked the wrong people in such ironclad contracts that it's difficult for them to actually do anything about it. Even she might be facing an uphill struggle in actually fixing stuff.
Well, if you're listening, Emma Watts, or somebody from Emma's office is listening, you need an IP manager. You need an IP manager. You need somebody to come in there and take a look at all the IPs you have, because you have a fucking gold mine of IPs that are being wasted.
All right, I'll do it.
Well, here's the thing. They actually already have that. Problem is that they have someone from their club, from their cocktail parties, and this person is completely and utterly inept.
They're destroying your company from the inside out.
You need to find someone that's outside of your circle of friends, someone who's done this before. And until you guys, and I know you're listening, until you do that, you will continue to fail, because there's not one single person that you have in your Rolodex, to use an antiquated term, but you catch my drift, that can do this for you. Not one in your circle of acquaintances. So you're going to have to broaden the scope to go outside of it to fix this thing. And failing to do so is failing your shareholders.
Well, one of the things they did was they brought in somebody from Netflix to help them have a bigger digital presence and to help them.
How fucked that worked out for them?
Well, the whole idea was, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The YouTube is somebody. She went to go work for YouTube, and YouTube is becoming more corporate, more Hollywood as we speak.
Oh, okay.
But at the same,
but like Paramount Plus is dead on arrival. But anyway, sorry.
But like I said, the whole thing is, and just take a look at the poster boy. I turned on my Fire Stick a couple weeks ago, and the first thing I got was an ad for Paramount Plus. They had Mikey Spock and Trevor Noah. There's your problem. There's your fucking problem. You have two of the most unlikable people as the poster children for your service and for your network. And you had that dumbass host the Grammys. And remember what I said? Trevor Noah hosting the Grammys. Tomorrow's headline: lowest rated Grammy broadcast ever. They don't know what they're doing. They just keep doubling down on the same shit that doesn't work. Yeah, maybe it'll work this time. Remind me what the definition of insanity is.
To keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result.
Exactly.
And that's what, no, and then this goes back even farther than the woke business. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, Paramount has been fucking this shit up for what, the better part of a decade or more now?
It's got to be over a decade.
More than that. I mean, and this has more to do than just with the split, because this is beyond the split. They've got stuff they could have done all this time that could have made them money. But no, instead they let Michael Bay make a fucking Ninja Turtles movie. No, instead they let J.J. Abrams and fucking Kurtzman take over Star Trek. You know, instead of actually doing this shit the way you should be doing it and getting people behind the franchises, you've done fucked it all up. And then Hasbro, they've got their little universe, and you done fucked it up with them. I'm surprised they're even sticking around. And they're probably doing that because they know they can shove whatever they want down your throats at this point because you'll take it. I mean, how they fucked up G.I. Joe and Transformers, for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
I mean, that's more Michael Bay, but still on the Transformer part, but still, they let him do it.
And I'm pretty sure that when push came to shove, how could you do such a bad job on Transformers? Oh, well, you just sat there and let me do it. Well, yeah, we kind of did.
And then when they try to fix it, they see that as a failure because he destroyed the franchise. I haven't seen Bumblebee, but just about everybody who saw it said this is what we should have gotten from the start.
Fantastic movie. So yeah, that's one you have to see. It's
I
so,
have it.
so
I just haven't had a chance
Like
to sit down and watch it yet.
Like I said, one of the inherent problems is that people they tend to overthink everything. They really do. We see we see it all up and down. Transformers, you're overthinking. You're overthinking this. Ninja Turtles, you're overthinking this. G.I. Joe, you're overthinking this. Star Trek, you're overthinking this, guys. It really, at its core, they don't even realize what makes these things special because they're too busy trying to say, how can we reverse engineer this to make this appeal to no, stop. We got it right the first time.
Speaking of reverse engineering, that kind of will segue into our next bit, but we got a couple super chats to grab before.
Yes, we do.
Is there some classic?
They're getting more and more classic by the moment.
I was going to say, I don't know if you got
Jay wonders, has there been any news on the Orville? As far as I know, it's back filming again.
I think they're even finished filming, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so that should be coming before long. I would imagine that we get season 3 coming this fall.
Yeah, I can't remember the producer's name, but Tom. Anyway, he's been posting a lot of stuff on Twitter, so they've been. I think they're either done or getting close to it, so they're back to work anyway. That's for sure.
Yeah. And then Robert says, "Is STD still claiming it's not the Kelvin timeline? That's what they claimed when it premiered. I stopped watching after the pilot." Well, actually, here's the thing. Technically, it's not the Kelvin timeline because we've actually made a whole video explaining this, and I think that some people misunderstood it. But the point is that ignore all the talk about timelines. The timelines don't mean anything. What matters is the contracts and the licenses. There are actually only two Star Treks. 2 there are. The first one is the original Star Trek. That's everything that's made since 2005 or before 2005. Everything that's made before 2005, that's the original Star Trek. That is one legal entity. And then there is everything made after 2005. All the movies by Bad Robot and all of the series by Secret Hideout. These are made under a legally separate entity. And a part of this separate entity is the Prime timeline. We have been deceived into thinking that the Prime timeline actually is the classic original Star Trek license, but it's not. It's not. This is a lie. The Prime timeline is a product of the alternate Star Trek, which is a legally separate license. So the Prime timeline is basically whatever the hell they want it to be. So they call it Prime. And in this sense, yes, Star Trek Discovery is Prime, because the Prime timeline is a product of the alternate, legally separate Star Trek, just as the Kelvin timeline is. They can make any timeline they want, but they're all part of a legally separate Star Trek that can in no way interact with the original Star Trek. So what we've seen in Picard, this is the prime timeline, just like Discovery, but it's a legally separate Star Trek from the original Next Generation. This is like the 25% difference. That's where it comes in. That's the legal license, or the legally separate entities. So don't get caught up in the names. So technically, you can say that yes, Discovery is not Kelvin, but it doesn't matter because it falls under the same umbrella of alternate Star Trek, no matter what they choose to call the individual timelines within it.
Yeah. Then Stephen Otten sent in $10 and said, in Picard's first captain's log, you understand who he is.
Yeah, we got that one.
Oh, we did? Okay.
Yeah, we got that one. We got the next one from Kit Kat
we got
2.
that one. And
Crazy Cat guy sent us a Kitty Super sticker. We also got Xenobit commenting a follow-up on Jack the Ripper. And then the next new one is Starfleet Capitalist, who says that Orville is my Star Trek.
Absolutely.
And this is something that I am inclined to agree with. And then you have Harry Nice Guy on screen right now saying, I'm so excited about their pink, woke, female ninja turtle. Aren't you? What kind of weapon would you propose for such a character? Tom, how excited would you be for this character?
Fuck it, no, and no.
Oh, well, that was a nice summary of how excited you were for.
They already tried a female Ninja Turtle. It didn't work out too well.
And
it has nothing to do with anti-female anything. It's just adding another one to the mix just makes shit more complicated. And I'm not, and as far as my Ninja Turtle fandom goes, I'm into it as far as like a lot of the earlier shit. Once the shit starts going batshit crazy and they start having way too much wackiness going on in a lot of the newer stuff they've got going on, I'm not a huge fan of. Like once like you get past beyond certain points, like I'm not a big fan of
the whole point of the Ninja Turtles is that there's four of them, you know, John, Paul, George, and Ringo, and you know, Splinter is a de facto Brian Epstein or George Martin or whatever it is. That's kind of the thing, you know. The dynamic only works if there's four of them and they're brothers.
Well, and they all have four distinct personalities, at least in the latter versions. But no, I mean it's. And off of that, DCB Titan says, no, Michael Bay made a people movie and they allowed him to put Ninja Turtles in it, if you can call him that. Man can't make a movie with a titular subject to save his life. I suppose the same argument could be made for the Transformer films as well. He didn't actually make the film. He just produced it. Don't get me started on the Michael Bay TMNT movies. We will be here for so long, and I will be bitching for so long. And Andre actually likes the second one.
Yeah, I kind of do a little bit. I had fun with it.
Don't understand in the least.
It was still disappointing. It could have been a hell of a lot better, but I had more fun with that than I did the first one. The first with Michael Bay.
That's even a kind of a tall order. I mean, because I'll tell you what, that second movie is one of the few movies I've ever known in my life that got me so physically upset that I was like fucking falling off the seat, screaming and hollering. If I had hair, I would be pulling it out. I was throwing shit at the TV. I was so mad at certain points. I was... it was like being, you know, Clockwork Orange. I felt like Alex in the chair.
Yeah.
Like, make it stop, make it stop, make it stop. You know,
how can you defile this thing?
Yeah, I know exactly how he felt in that moment.
I'll tell you, Tom, though, the best decision I made was to put that in the frame.
Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah. That's
a beaut.
Yeah. I bought that at the comic shop, Starship Excalibur. That used to be called.
Probably worth a couple bucks.
I think I looked it up. I think it's worth about $50.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's in good shape too. I've had it since I bought it like in the mid '80s.
That's the thing. Nickelodeon doesn't. Paramount doesn't really pay much attention to that shit. Sure, we get some toys here and there, but I mean, that's about it. They don't really do much else. But anyway, going off topic, and Morgan King says, I know this is off topic, but do you have any news on the Dunwich horror movie? I don't. Andre?
Is this because right now there are 2 Lovecraft cinematic universes going on, and this is the second movie to the one that followed, like the Richard Stanley movie, the one with Nicolas Cage. This was supposed to be the follow-up to it. I don't have any more information. I haven't followed up on it. So I just kind of wish that the 2 different parties would join forces and make one Lovecraft cinematic universe instead of 2. And if you right now are thinking, like, there's a second one, yeah, it was kicked off with a remake of what was it called again? The Castle Freak. The remake of Castle Freak launches a second Lovecraft cinematic universe. It's well worth checking out. And then you can see which one you are the most excited for. But so yeah, you have 2 franchise starters, one with the Color of Space or whatever it's called, and the other with Castle Freak. Both intend to launch independent cinematic Lovecraft universes. And HyperGyver 2 wonders if the prime time is different from the original series, then how were they able to use the photo of the original crew from the Wrath of Khan in Beyond, since it wasn't 25% different per the contracted agreement?
Here comes the question that Andre and I have always had a little bit of, I would say, disagreement on, but we've discussed, and I think we figured it out, at least in my opinion.
Yeah,
is because any of the movies that were owned by Paramount, they had no issues using anything that was in those movies because they were owned by Paramount.
Yeah. You will note that they used a picture from exactly the Paramount movie and not the original series because it becomes complicated. In principle, they can license in everything. Like, for instance, the furry little things. Yeah, the triples. You had a triple in Into Darkness, and this was something that was licensed in separately to put in the movie. So they had to pay a license fee to put that in there because it was identical, and they got exactly nothing from the third-party license revenue from, like, new Tribble toys. That went all the way to CBS, and Bad Robot, that did the movie, saw not 1 cent of it.
And the copyrights on the boxes actually supports that. If you look at any of the new Trek toys that were directly tied to the Paramount film, they said copyright Bad Robot, Paramount, whatever. But the Tribble toys from Into Darkness, even the ones that came with the little vial of blood, said copyright CBS underneath. So that's where the line was drawn. Anything classic Trek is owned by CBS. But they had the loopholes and things that they could use, like Andre said, they could license. But I also believe they had access to anything, and this is where our difference of opinion comes in because we don't have the actual knowledge of how it all broke down. But we know enough that I believe any of the movies that were in the Paramount purview, they had access to any of that kind of crap if they wanted to use it. Like if they wanted to do a flashback to the Wrath of Khan in Into Darkness, they could have, is my point. But they didn't.
That's right.
Yeah. And to follow up another comment that's here, Brian Barth says, wasn't Richard Stanley cancelled? Yeah, he might have been, but that doesn't mean that his movies from smaller film productions are going to pay any attention to it. But I don't have any update on that. I wish I knew. I hope it will continue, but I don't know the detailed status of it.
And then on that note, Stephen Otten says, that's what I get for not keeping up on my Barbara Crampton movies. I'm no longer affiliated with myself. Hashtag Castle Freak. Hashtag movie jail. Don't put yourself in movie jail.
As far as remakes go, it's not a half bad one. But you can totally tell that it's setting up a Lovecraft cinematic universe. And there, like, for Lovecraft fans, there are some very, very compelling characters that make an appearance or hinted at future appearances in it.
Now, is this the one with Nicolas Cage in it? Because if that's the one I have,
no. Nicolas Cage is the other one. That's The Color of Space.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Project Cambrian is talking about on screen here. Yeah, I have that one, but I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, same
what
with
was
me.
the other one called?
I really need to get on that.
What was the other one called?
Castle Freak.
Castle Freak. Wasn't that an old Full Moon movie?
Yeah, it's a remake of the Full Moon movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so now it has your attention.
Okay, well, now is it made by Full Moon or is it by somebody else?
I think it's made by Fangoria.
Oh.
Possibly in conjunction with Full Moon. I don't remember the
like the Puppet Master remake?
I don't know, maybe.
That's who did the Puppet Master remake was
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
It was bad. All right. Well, because here's the thing, and this is like completely kind of off topic, but on topic. They've been pushing the hell out of this Full Moon streaming service, but you get 10 free Blu-rays if you sign up for a year. So you're basically getting the thing for free. So I've been kind of thinking about it. Because I'm like, I got the Puppet Master movies, but I'm sure there's at least, I've got a couple other Full Moon Blu-rays, but I'm like, I'm sure there's at least another 10 Full Moon Blu-rays I'd like to have. You know what I mean? Like,
you can never have enough Full Moon.
No. So I'm like, that might be worth it. But if that's on their streaming service, then maybe I'll check it out. Because I remember the original Castle Freak, but I didn't know they remade it.
Yeah, no, they did. They did. Barbara
but I was super
Graham,
disappointed with that Puppet Master remake, and they just did another one called Blade, which is like a prequel to. I got that one on Blu-ray, but I haven't watched it yet. I don't know. I'm kind of like leery on that because I see Charles Band's just been doing it for money, basically. It seems like, I don't know, but that's nothing new for him.
Yeah, no, I really haven't paid attention to this Castle Freak thing and exactly who was behind it and everything. But I saw it. It wasn't as bad as it could have been. It was actually fairly exciting, and it goes in exciting directions. I will say that it's very clearly like a franchise starter. But we'll see if it continues. Since no one has seen it, that doesn't bode well for where they were planning on going next. Yeah,
and then I'm a Unicorn says, where does Lovecraft Country fall then on HBO Max? That's like its own thing, right? I mean, it's tied tangentially, but it's
Lovecraft Country. I have never seen it.
I've heard that,
and I never will see it. Because I get the gist of what it's about, and to me it seems like a really nasty, vicious, disgusting thing, so I have no desire to ever watch it. It falls into the category, again, I haven't seen it, but based on the description and the intent of the books it's based upon, it falls into subversion of Lovecraft.
There you go. Yeah, I'm not familiar with it. I've just heard bad things about it.
Yeah. So that's
which usually turns me away.
And deliberate subversion.
So unless there was any more classic super chats, we are all caught up.
There are.
Okay, go ahead then. Go ahead.
Crazy Cat Guy sent like a little kitty super sticker.
I think we got that.
Starfleet Capitalist said Orville is my new Trek, which is very fair. And Dash D's said, I like the Moriarty episode on The Next Generation. Thoughts? What do you mean you like the Moriarty episode? There are two, and the second one was the better one. So if you haven't seen Ship in a Bottle, you need to get on that. Because that's a freaking great episode. So as for me, I didn't care for the first one that much, but the second one is fan-freaking-tastic.
Yeah. And they explain exactly how transporters and replicators work. They said, in the 24th, in my time, we have found that matter and energy are interchangeable. See, there. That's how it all works.
Yeah. So screw the first one. The only reason The only good thing about the first one is that it's a great prequel to Ship. Is it called Ship in a Bottle? Is that the episode? The second one?
Bottle episodes, yeah.
Yeah, something
Oh, you
like
mean
that.
the actual episode name? Yeah.
No,
I
the
don't know.
episode title,
First
the
one,
one
I
with
think
the
it's
second
called-
Moriarty episode.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think
I
the
think
first
it was
one.
called Ship in a Bottle.
I'll take a look here. Hold on. TNG. You probably could. First one's
You
ship,
might be right.
ship in a bottle. Yeah.
That's one of the better episodes of the Next Generation, if you ask me.
The first episode was called Elementary, Dear Data.
Yeah, screw that one. That was no fun at all. But the second one, my God, that was an episode.
Hello, everybody.
With Hello, Paulie.
Hey.
Hey,
With guest star at Denver Net, Stephanie Beacham.
yeah, it was Moriarty. So yeah, that was pretty cool. How's it going, Polly?
Great. I don't know if any of you guys got to see my interview last night with filmmaker Kenneth Castillo, but it was incredible.
Sadly, I did not get a chance to yet. No.
Well, the replay is there, and the insight and what he is talking about with Hollywood and his path. It's an eye opener for anyone that cares to check out as far as what directors go through. I'm really happy with that interview from last night. And so
Very cool. So everyone go check that out over at Latino Slant.
yeah, giving the filmmaker Kenneth a shout out. He's a good dude. What are we talking about here?
Well, a little bit of mix of things. We talked some Star Trek, and on that note, we're going through some classic super chats. And the next one is from Alan Whalen, who wonders, now that Dawn has hinted at Worf's return, what makeup will they go with? Traditional or STD Kling Orc?
Now I heard something that has nothing to do with the show, but something else. But we'll see on that, I guess. My guess is they'll do some kind of hybrid.
Yeah,
If
I would
he's gonna
imagine
show.
that. I would imagine some hybrid too, but
Even-
closer to classic.
Even Money says he's going to be on Lower Decks.
That's what I'm thinking. I have a feeling this has nothing to. It's just like a cameo appearance kind of thing. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be. It may be on Picard, but I don't know.
And then we have a super chat that I just put in the private chat for Rob to read, and that is from Master Clockwork.
I'm not seeing it here. Oh, Captain's log. Oh my.
There you go. And Durao On sent us a little Peer Fellow super sticker, so thanks for that. Andrew Thompson says it's a sign of their inability to separate reality and fiction. And Starfleet Capitalist says they need to remember KISS, KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. That is something that many in Hollywood could remember these days. And Vincent207 says, I wonder if part of the TMNT problem comes from how many versions of the Turtles there have been, and the company isn't sure what type to commit to. What say you about that, Tom? You're muted, Tom.
That might be part of it. I think it's just, I've heard, well, again, I can't say who we talked to about it or say certain specifics or give away, but like, that's the thing is it's not just a TMNT problem. It's an entire Paramount problem and how disorganized they are with the IPs, how they treat them. The deal they have with Turtles even allows, they even have like Eastman on board doing stuff with them, but that's not even working out that well from what I can see. And they want to do certain things. They've talked about a Netflix series and some other things. But again, I think it's kind of like the Star Trek situation where there's no money behind it anymore because the investors have gotten scared and backed away. Go into your local toy store. There is no Ninja Turtle section anymore. And if you find any toys, it's generally in the collectible section, and it's the NECA stuff. Like they have zero presence anymore. And this is the first time in over 30 years that the Ninja Turtles have not had a toy section in the toy aisle. It's fucking mind-boggling. I don't understand it. Even if I wasn't a fan of the 2012 series, I checked it out. I'm like, okay, it's mostly harmless. It's good for kids.
Yeah.
It's sticking basically to the basics. I'm fine with it. Then they killed that series, which was popular. They killed it for no good reason. Then they instantly brought in this other show that was supposed to be new, hip, and in kids' faces. And that's the one Rob and I watched, and we were just like, fuck is this shit?
Yeah.
It's like a fever dream.
Remember we kept asking who is this for? I don't think it was for anybody. All the Ninja Turtle stuff, all the Star Wars stuff has been replaced by Fortnite. Fortnite and Marvel.
Yeah, that could very well be. And then moving on with the classic super chats, we have Super Blubberpuss says Hollywood knows their IPs are losing money and value. It's a sacrifice for social conforming. And Xenobit says there are people who care about respecting franchises. They're making indie games. Compare the new TMNT cartoon to the new game, Shredder's Revenge. Now, I know that's one that Tom would want to see as the cartoon. You're still muted, Tom.
I didn't hear the question. I was trying to figure something out about our guest.
Well, I was to basically comment that people that make indie games like Shredder's Revenge, they still care about the properties.
Yeah, those people do. That's what I'm saying. There's people out there who get it, who like it. I mean, love or hate NECA, they're actually doing a beautiful fucking job with the dolls, the classic line. But let me put it this way. I've talked about doing this one documentary. If we do it, it's probably going to be with zero fucking help from anybody who has anything to do with Ninja Turtles. And that's just because of how disorganized Paramount is, how anti-fan they are, and how they just don't get what they're sitting on. And it really breaks my fucking heart. And I don't know what else to say about it other than it's in the same place as Star Trek and shit right now. Until somebody else comes along that understands what they have there, they're fucking screwed. If Eastman and them guys can get them convinced to do the more adult-oriented Netflix show like they were talking, and if the reboot movie is in line with what we've been hearing, like it's going to be more like the original 1990 film, then they're on the right course. If those things aren't true, though, then... yeah.
Then all bets are off. And then Valiant Renegade says Paramount Plus is dead on arrival. How genius does Sony look right now, deciding to not even waste time and money getting into that game? Here, Netflix, pay us. Yeah, that was the right choice for them, because they didn't have the infrastructure to even try. And so they decided that we're going to be a content producer. And they lucked out and got a deal with Netflix that worked out for both them and for Netflix. Viacom CBS wanted to be a competitor in the big leagues. We'll see how it works out for them. Tom and Paulie, how do you think that worked out so far? Like, Rob, I want to hear your thoughts for it too. But Paulie first, since you recently joined the show for today. How do you think that... Paramount Plus is going to fare in the end? Can it compete, or will it go the way of CBS All Access, which is actually what Paramount Plus started out as?
Yeah, they got a lot of... I don't think they're going to make it. There's too many other ones. I mean, speaking from myself, I mean, we just got Discovery Plus. We finally paid the $5 a month for that one, and it's like, what does Paramount have to offer? I mean, there's like so many other better ones that are already rocking it. So those are my initial thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's DOA. I think it's going to get soaked up by somebody else, either probably Amazon or something like that. That's my guess. What do you think, Rob?
Trying not to.
I mean, that's my answer, but I don't want to. I wanted to give Andre something more than.
Well, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
that's so much about it, but like, yeah, I mean, there's stocks in the fucking hole. Nobody's watching the thing. I'm sure it's even probably in worse shape than it was when they were fucking CBS All Access. But
what do they have right now?
nothing.
The Star Trek crap.
They're so
they
far
have
off.
Star Trek. They have some reality stuff. They have Young Sheldon. They have The Big Bang Theory.
I mean, the people that watch those, they're not going to pay to see that they're watching on regular CBS.
And Big Bang Theory, as Rob points out, is on at any given time of the day. You could probably turn on TBS right now and it's on.
Syndication. Unless when those end, then the only place you can see it is Paramount Plus. But
I wonder how long they have a deal with that too, because Warner technically actually owns the show.
These guys are so stupid.
Yeah,
And
so
then,
just wait till it ends up
It's like
on
the
HBO
Friends
Max.
deals. Yeah.
Well, one of my favorites, actually, I just saw one of my favorites that until the final season, until the finale, which ruined it, How I Met Your Mother was a staple on CBS. That's not even on CBS All Access.
That's a Warner-owned one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's actually Fox. Fox on it.
Fox owns that one? I thought that was a...
no, I think it was Fox, but it's on Hulu.
Maybe then. You might be
I think
right.
so. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mean, I shouldn't have even used the name Star Trek in association.
No, but you
guys know what I mean, though.
They don't, and they're so far off on anything new that I give a shit about. Like, they haven't announced anything new Ninja Turtles, and we know we're at least a little while off from Beavis and Butthead movie and TV show. So,
I know I was going to ask you. So, who's got the all the original Star Trek and Next Generation is still on Netflix, right?
it's on everything. That's one thing they said early on, is that Paramount is going to have a lot of their stuff, but they're not going to be exclusive with a lot of their other stuff. The only things that are going to be exclusive are going to be the things that are produced for Paramount Plus only, and that's only going to be in certain regions. So like the Star Trek shows, depending on what deals they still have going through for those.
That sounds horrible.
And I keep saying to this, there had to be some sort of provision in the Netflix deal to bring Star Trek Discovery, to fund Star Trek Discovery. Okay, but we get Star Trek for X amount of years. There had to be some kind of provision.
No, because it's all over the place, Rob. It's more so that they're not gonna forego that revenue. They need it that desperately.
Yeah,
because Netflix and Hulu have had Star Trek for so long that if they got rid of them, then people would freak out. You can still watch it, I think, online for free as well, on like StarTrek.com, I think, or something like that.
But imagine what a feather in the cap it would have been to be able to say, Paramount Plus, now your home, your exclusive home for everything Star Trek. That would have been huge.
They knew that the franchise ain't worth it no more, though.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say. Is they would.
I understand.
Yeah, but then that would have been at least you have your niche market going to Paramount Plus just for the old school.
Yeah.
And Sander in the chat was saying that Netflix has all the good Trek, except for Picard, Lower Decks, and Prodigy. It's like
depending on where you're at, but yeah.
Okay, well, still.
Well, yeah, because outside of the U.S., Netflix has Discovery and I believe Lower Decks, but they don't have Picard. Picard's on Amazon.
No, it was Amazon.
Amazon took Lower Decks. Okay, so
Amazon
Picard and Lower Decks are.
So what you're saying is that
anything.
Paramount has nothing exclusive, and
outside of the U.S., not really.
That's ridiculous, man. Well, nothing that we want to see.
Even in Canada, Discovery and Picard were shown on like their equivalent to their sci-fi channel up there. I can't remember the name of it, but
Space or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. And they even pulled the reruns of Discovery because they weren't getting any goddamn ratings.
It's Ponders, man. It's fucking Ponders.
I want somebody to use their fucking brain.
To not take me out of a high tempo fucking song into a fucking dedication to a dead fucking dog.
Here we go again, man. Here we go again.
He's everywhere.
Well, anyway, moving on. The DCV Titan says, no, Michael Bay made a people movie and they allowed him to put Ninja Turtles in it. Man can't make a movie with a titular subject to save his life.
Yeah, we touched on that one.
Yeah. and then I have to refresh again to see if there are any
So wait a minute. If
markets with
Project Cambrian is telling me this correctly, they changed their name to Sci-Fi, formerly known as Space. So they took the name that our original Siffy channel had.
I'm so confused.
I know. So now you guys have the real Sci-Fi, and we're stuck with Siffy.
Oh, good going. That's how we work
Which
together.
is- But Tom, Siffy is home to Resident Alien Wednesdays at 10.
I've heard that's been going woke as hell too.
Yeah, there were a couple woke.
Nothing is sacred or safe anymore.
Oh no, far from it.
They were doing so well.
Yeah. On that note, Taker 610 says, "I think comic book movies are dead." Agree, guys?
Not entirely.
No, not entirely.
Yeah, same with me. Not entirely, or rather, not at all. I think that they've already seen their zenith in popularity. I don't think they're going to be any bigger than they were at the time of Avengers Endgame. I think it'll be a long time until there's going to be a comic book movie as big as that. However, comic book movies aren't going anywhere. They're too big, they're too profitable, they're too recognizable. That's the brand that people will go and pay to see. So they're not going anywhere. They're just not going to be as big as they once were. And that's all. Paulie, anything to add to that?
I mean, I would agree in general with what you said. You know, the studios love those tentpole, franchises and stuff, though. So they're probably just gearing up for another run, But yeah, it's too much money. I mean, it's never gonna, go away completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I feel like I've compared it to the Western in a lot of ways, but it might even have more longevity than the Western. We'll see.
Well, it's a more universal archetype than.
Well, so was the Western. It's kind of similar to that sense. You can almost plug just about any kind of story into it.
I mean,
yeah, exactly. It's a genre. Comic book movies are a genre within the genre. I mean, just look at something like Road to Perdition or History of Violence. They're both comic book movies, although you would never been able to guess because they are so completely different from superhero movies.
V for Vendetta too. I mean,
yeah, exactly. There you go.
But the Western, I mean, Hollywood hasn't produced. They've gone years without producing a major Western.
No. There's still Westerns being made. They're just not massive, big blockbuster Westerns. If anything, Westerns have made a resurgence because there have been so many more mid-level budget Westerns
from a major studio.
Few years,
Andre, from a major studio.
No, not from the That's what I said. Not from the majors.
Right. That's what I said.
From the mini majors, there's been a resurgence.
Westerns have always had a home on television as well, and that's probably what happened.
But there's been more Western movies in the last 5 years than in the 5 years before that. Not big blockbuster ones, but
every once in a while you get like
a sizable budget ones.
Yeah,
but the last one I remember seeing in the theater was the remake with Denzel.
Well, you get like a Magnificent Seven or a True Grit or a 310 to Yuma once in a while, but then every once in a while you'll get like movies.
I mean, you just went back like 15 years.
I know, but
three Westerns and then Hateful Eight.
Yeah, Hateful Eight. There's
Django.
more. There's tons more we could bring up, but
again, those are your big blockbuster ones. But again, it doesn't have to be big blockbusters. There's a huge sphere there, and you have like the mid-level budget movies that are released that get a limited theatrical release, and then they go straight to video or straight to streaming. And there has actually been an uptick in those. Now that means that the genre, it's still there, it's still kicking. It doesn't have to be a massive blockbuster thing for it to still be there and kicking.
Yeah, not only that, like I was saying, it's never been dead on television. We've always had at least a few ongoing Western shows. You have channels where they'll make directly, like there was a while there, TNT was making Westerns all the time. Or Civil War epics and stuff like that in the same, eras and stuff. So, I mean, it's never gone away. It's just, it takes different forms, but no, I think that's not going to happen to different forms. Yeah. Specifically the superhero part of it, I think is going to eventually get to that point. Now, will we have another Avengers Endgame? Eventually, but it'll be a while. I don't know what it's going to be. It's hard to say. Maybe if they finally get something right, like Superman or Batman or something like that.
I know what it's not going to be. Any of the drivel from Warner Media.
Oh, hell no. No, and it would never have been the Snyderverse either. Let's be real. As much as anybody likes it. So.
Oh yeah, no, that would never happen. But I think that would come closer.
No, yeah, but I mean the fact that there was so much interest in that just shows that this isn't going anywhere anytime soon. This genre, specific franchises will go away. Yeah. But there's so much untapped shit. Like we were just talking about Ninja Turtles. They haven't even been able to get Ninja Turtles right. Dread, they haven't been able to get right.
Well, they did that in one movie. They just
but I mean, to be able to build it as a franchise, and these are things that could clearly be used, and even things like Conan, which are kind of tangential to comic books. I mean, these are all untapped things that nobody's really found a way to do right yet, and hopefully there are things on the horizon that will reinvigorate. And I've already said I think the next big kind of thing to blow up is going to be like sword and sorcery and fantasy, because it's that cyclical thing, and we're in that era, and they got Lord of the Rings on the horizon. Now that show may not be very popular, but things like Game of Thrones were really popular, and if they can bring in, and it seems like a lot of that kind of stuff is what's down the pipeline, and if it works, that may be where we're headed. We're going to get out of this sci-fi superhero kind of thing and into more of that. I could be wrong, but you never know. But did we get this super sticker from Antiderivative, Jill?
We have actually a couple of more things that we have to get to before that that disappeared off the screen, but I can still get to them here. With the super sticker from Antiderivative Jill, that's a unicorn, so thanks for that. And before that, HyperGyver 2 said, Tom, I guess you don't like the character of Jenica.
Don't know much about her, but no, not a fan. It's just another wannabe turtle.
And then Starfleet Capitalist said 90s live action TMNT movies were the best. I even liked the third one.
Can't disagree with you there.
Yeah, I like the second one for myself when I was a kid. I think it's like one of the first movies I remember seeing in theaters. But,
as a kid, I liked the second one quite a bit. But I mean, as an adult, I've grown to really, really appreciate the first one. For really, it's argumentatively one of the closest comic book to the source material, or at least it specifically blended both the original source material with what everybody knew was popular about the characters. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the headbands, the cowabunga, the pizza, all that kind of stuff was from the kid version of the cartoon and stuff like that. But the story was based in the original comics, and it's pretty accurate. And Rob will back me up on that one.
Yeah, and then this is an interesting one.
Shang-Chi.
Cesario JPN says for $10. So thank you so much. But then comes the interesting bit. The Shang-Chi trailer is being roasted online by the Chinese. Both the Marvel Studios YouTube channels for Taiwan and Hong Kong have heavily ratioed trailers, and Chinese YouTube, Bilibili, is negative/bad.
I heard that.
Very sobering to hear.
Not sure
and
what
honestly,
the reason behind it is, but yeah.
Yeah, no, Tom, what have you heard about it?
I just heard that they were.
Shit on?
I have no idea. I just heard about it, that they were upset, and I don't know what the reasoning is. I don't know what Billy mean. If somebody can.
Well, basically, that's the Chinese equivalent of YouTube.
That's their YouTube, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's a CCP approved YouTube.
Is it because they didn't make it? Or is it just because they don't like what they're seeing? I don't know. I need context.
Who knows?
I would imagine it's that they don't like what they're seeing. I would be shocked if there's much other than that. Basically, this is Americans trying to cater to Chinese sensibilities, or maybe they're. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but they're obviously trying to cater to the Chinese audience, and they seem to be failing big time at it, which is kind of.
Well, you're the one that got the undertones of that shit. I just saw a kung fu movie, so. Maybe that's something more your purview, Andre. Maybe you should look more into that. Maybe there's a
Yeah,
video.
sure. I'm happy to look into it. But all I can imagine is that this is something that appears to be from a very like Chinese perspective. You have like Zhang-Chi and the relationship with his father, that he gets like this time off, and then it's like all of this kung fu thing. And the Chinese have a very particular style of how they do their kung fu movies. And this movie right here, Shang-Chi, it's going to have some elements of that in there, obviously, but it's seen through the Marvel lens. So yeah, okay, you have Jackie Chan's stunt team, but if they don't do a traditional kung fu China-style movie, instead they do it through the Marvel lens, it's going to be very different from what the Chinese audience is used to. And I also think that the story might be something that's very appealing from a Western perspective, but it could be completely ridiculous from their point of view. Here you have like a son that's breaking away from his father, who's seemingly a mobster by the looks of things, and yeah, could be a great storytelling in the West, but how appealing is the setup, let alone the whole story, to Chinese audiences? I don't know. I would have to do research on it, but I can imagine that the things that they consider to be universal from their Hollywood perspective might not go down so well with actual Chinese audiences. I mean, just look at Mulan. Their Mulan remake, that was also a bomb in China, even if they filmed it next to the camps where, Uyghurs go to concentrate, and they thanked the CCP and everything in it. Didn't help. The audience didn't take to it.
That's what I'm saying. I need more context for this specific thing. But I'm sure there's a reason behind it.
Well. Yeah, doesn't bode well for them.
And I don't know if we missed any in between the super chats here because it jumped
Well,
on.
that I can very easily find out.
You can probably check that out real quick.
Yeah, I'll check that out real quickly because I have to just do a refresh here. And nope, that's the next one.
Fear Sundown says, superhero allow for CGI action. It's harder to justify a human being doing in something like Fast and Furious. Crap like Thunder Force could kill it, though. Maybe. The thing is you have, and that's where I was kind of bringing up some of the names I did bring, is they're into the spectacle aspect right now of superheroes, but there's a lot of ground level superheroes they haven't taken advantage of. And that's what I was talking about with like Ninja Turtles, Dread, and even Daredevil and certain other ones like that aren't the spectacle. Even Batman. That's where, like, a lot of us have like, how hard is it just to make a fucking Batman TV series live action? All you got to do is what they did in the animated series. Just do a live action.
Well, HBO Max are trying, so there's that.
I would hope that they get it right, because like that's one of the most no-brainer things you can do. It's easy. It's cheap. You don't need a bunch of fancy effects or anything. It's a guy in a car and a mask. It's pretty easy to do. No, but I don't. Eventually, things will slow down and they'll get smaller. Like Andre and I were saying before with Westerns, they'll get a little bit more.
And you know what? That doesn't have to be a bad thing.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, just in my personal estimation, the single greatest comic book movie ever made is Dread. I'll take Dread any day over Avengers or anything like that, because it's just that much better a movie. And I would honestly love for it to be like more movies like that. Like that's how you do, for instance, a Punisher movie. One day in the life of the Punisher, or 1 week in the life of the Punisher, and you tell the Slavers storyline, which in my opinion is the single greatest Punisher storyline. And there you have something that's never going to win an Oscar, not under current circumstances, but something that should have been an Oscar contender back when that still meant something.
Yeah, the cost goes into the spectacle of it all, and I think that's something and a lot of producers are probably more than happy to get away from as well.
Yeah, and I agree.
And my favorite comic book movie, of course, is Ninja Turtles from 1990, and that was made for $12 million.
Yeah.
So there you go.
$12,1989 to be clear.
But still, that would still only be like maybe 30 in today's money.
Yeah.
So
40, I guess.
Maybe closer to 40, but that's still nothing.
Yeah, it's Dread budget. See, that's the money you need. With the Dread level budget, you can do a ton of good.
If you could walk into Paramount right now and say, I can make you a Ninja Turtle movie for $50 million, they'd be stupid not to do it.
Yeah.
And that's all you'd have to do what you did before.
Or if someone were to go and say, hey, I can make you a Punisher movie for $30 million.
Punisher's even easier. Yeah, you're right. You could do that for 20, 25.
You could make a trilogy for 50.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Film it all at the same time.
And Master Clockwork says recent Western news of the world. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that one yet. Yeah.
That's one I've seen. I want to see. Yeah, the Tom Hanks one, right?
Well, Tom, realistically, what would be the most expensive part of filming a Punisher movie? Probably locations, because you have to set up in New York.
Yeah,
that or just explosions and shit.
You wouldn't have to set up in New York. The thing that you'd need some sets in New York, but beyond that, actually, you could film it in Canada.
Yeah, Toronto.
Film it in Romania, because you're going to be dealing with like Russian mobsters and stuff like that. So then you might as well film huge chunks of it in Romania. Have it set in New York, of course, but you only need some shots there.
A lot of Captain America: The First Avenger was shot in Liverpool, actually.
Exactly, yeah.
Ninja Turtles was shot in, I think, North Carolina. So, and that worked out like
and so was Hellraiser 3. It was meant to be in LA, but was filmed in North Carolina.
Interesting trivia. Do you know where a lot of Stripes was shot?
I should, but not offhand. Where was that?
Kentucky.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it was the Russian fort, the Russian military base. That's actually the old Jim Beam distillery.
So they didn't actually use an actual base; they just built one on a
on a piece of property.
Well, it makes sense. It was probably cheaper to do that than rent one then.
Yeah, but they completely fooled the camera into making you think it was like Eastern Europe. So that was like good on them.
Well, that's one of the reasons why LA became one of the hot spots for filming to begin with, was because you had, good weather all year round. You had a lot of places where you can go 20 miles of radius and you'd have, like the Red Forest or whatever, where you could film in a big, like forest, or you got like more tropical kind of climate in certain other areas near like the beaches and shit. So you could pretend you're in like a more tropical climate, or you could go into the desert, and, there's all kinds of places you can go, and you're in 12 different places within 20 miles is what I'm trying to say. But yeah.
There's a from the 80s TV series The Fall Guy, which is about the Hollywood stuntman turned bounty hunter. There was they said, why do all backlots look exactly the same? And they said, well, you start with something that looks like nothing, you can make it look like anything.
Yeah. I mean, well, and shooting on a backlot has been a lost art anyway nowadays. It's all location shooting most of the time, and otherwise it's just sound stages. So they'll do like a lot of the exteriors on location, and then they'll just do a lot of the interior stuff in a sound stage anymore. That's the basic. Unless Paulie, unless you know anything more from your wife's experience or anything, that's kind of the basic way it seems to go anymore. You don't do a lot of extravagant big stuff like they used to. It seems like they don't seem to build a lot of sets like outdoors and shit anymore. Because, I think the Universal backlot hasn't changed in 20 years, has it? Not since the fire. They rebuilt it, but then I don't think they've done anything.
Probably not.
Yeah. I think Paulie might be out, or he's muted, but yeah. But anyway, moving on from there. I think we were caught up with super chats there, but we do have another main topic today.
Before we get to the main topic, though, I did get one little quick story to come across the transom.
Oh, do share.
More Disney shenanigans here. Pixar's casting for a voice actor. They want a 14-year-old transgender girl.
Well, that's the character.
But we're looking for actresses 12 to 17 years old who can authentically portray a 14-year-old transgender girl.
What does a 14-year-old transgender girl sound like?
Why?
Well, that doesn't matter. Like if you are a 14-year-old transgender, then you qualify, and that's what it's going to sound like. Well, why? Well, that's easy enough because they're afraid of being cancelled if they have someone who isn't trans voicing.
Why is
someone
Pixar
trans.
making a story about a 14-year-old transgender girl to begin with?
This, of course, is.
Don't miss Pixar's.
I
Huh?
I don't even want to get into.
By the way,
that.
there's Pixar's telephone number and fax number.
Well, at
Oh,
least that's
bad
the
idea,
phone
Tom,
number
bad idea.
for the casting agent. It's not going to be directed to Pixar.
No,
So,
not likely.
yeah.
But I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? What the hell? Why is that even part of a story? A Pixar.
Well, if that's the story they want to tell, I guess, which is good for them. Like, no one else has to see it, but yeah.
If you want to tell an adult story about that shit, fine. It shouldn't.
I think there would be fewer brownie points in.
Do you want to have to explain to your kid why and what and where and all that shit? I don't.
You know what? You don't have to because they're going to do that in school now.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Oh yeah, absolutely, especially in America. So that's not a decision that you're going to have to make. They'll know it. They'll be very, very well aware long before you get to it. But with that, we can move into the other main story we had lined up. The one about classic movies, maybe changing a little bit.
And this is a very elaborate piece. I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but I will give you the gist of it. And what it basically covers is there's a company that, and this is not just one company. I'm sure there's several companies that can do this now, and this is not new because you can do this kind of shit on your own phone, right? Like, it's real easy to do. But basically, they have the technology now where it's smart enough that they can replace, say, a Coke bottle, a billboard, whatever, in any movie seamlessly without you knowing it. And not only that, you can interchange it out weekly if they need to, or regionally if they need to. And now,
especially regionally, is going to be beneficial because you have different brands in different places.
And so, what this does is open a door to And we talked about this with Mahler last night, and he brought up the interesting question: well, if they do it in a way that you don't notice, then why should you really care? Or why would you care? And you're like, granted, that part doesn't really bother me so much. I don't give a shit if they're drinking out of a Pepsi bottle or a Coke bottle in most instances. But what this does do is open up a Pandora's box, and a huge Pandora's box it does open. And they do address it in this a little bit in this article, but not enough for my taste. And that is, what if these advertisers have a problem with, say, a scene that's a little racially charged, or a joke that may be a little off color, or they don't like a little bit of nudity that's in there? That's what I'm talking about. That's when things start changing. We've already kind of seen this road being set before us and how these things can happen and where these things can go and how they can be used to destroy classic films. And I think it's something that we need to really pay attention to and really stand against. Now, they also point out in this article that this is not something that's being implemented yet. There's a lot of legal loopholes or legal things they have to go through. Like they even mentioned that said advertiser may even have to buy the rights to the film to be able to do this. So this is something that's probably not going to happen, but it does open up very, very bad doors, in my opinion. And it not only does it that, it has another point that I'll get to in the second part of the story, but I really want to get your guys' reaction to this early on, because I think this is something scary. I think this is something that's already ready to be implemented, and they've probably tested it. And I know they've tested it probably because they kind of say they already know it works. It starts in one small little thing like this, and it can go to many different places. Paulie, let's get your reaction to this first now that you're back. Did you get a chance to check into this at all, or is this the first you're hearing about it?
Paul, we had to go again.
Again, you had to
So-
go. All right, Rob.
No, I'm back.
Okay.
But I didn't hear anything. I just got here.
Okay, well then never mind. Rob, go ahead.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, that's all right.
Tom, remember that episode of The Critic, Philip's Vision, where Duke was changing the endings of movies? Yeah, we're here. We're finally here. It took 25 years, but yeah, we finally
Tonight
here.
on the Clamp Cable Network, Casablanca with a happier ending in full color.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I changed my mind, Rick. I'm staying. So, yeah, I could picture. Yeah, I mean, look, Steve McQueen's on his motorcycle. I could totally picture them putting a Harley Davidson logo on the side of that. Even though that's probably a BMW because he's in Germany.
Or they could just put the BMW thing.
Or you just put the BMW logo on it. Well, that wouldn't be nearly as bad. You put an old school BMW logo on it, but still, at least
that's
it's
the point, though.
Yeah.
Opening little doors like that, to
Yeah.
where it's like, okay, that's fine. But what if BMW doesn't like the scene where say the German guy slaps Steve McQueen or something? I don't know if that happened in the movie per se, but I'm just saying, like offhand, I have this movie, but I haven't watched it yet. So sue me.
Well, a lot of the racing games I play I already have something similar to this, where they
and
change-
sports have been doing it for a while.
Yeah, where they change the billboards to in a track to whatever, purple Royal Purple Motor Oil or Shell gasoline or whatever, or certain racing game products, So it's I'm not surprised. I'm only surprised it took this long.
Well, luckily, it isn't a thing quite yet. But anyway, Andre, I'm very curious to hear what you have to say about this, because this popped up in the business section of BBC News.
I'm with Rob in that I'm also surprised that it hasn't happened before. I mean, think for instance, all the movies that advertise in not movies, but all the companies that paid for advertisements in Blade Runner. Several of them aren't around anymore. So there you have some free commercial space right now that they can resell to others later on. So I'm of the opinion that, well, first, I'm not surprised that this is happening. Secondly, I think it's really, really horrible, not just so much for the product placement. Of course, it's ridiculous, because then suddenly you cannot have Tom Hanks in News of the World drinking a Coca-Cola long before Coca-Cola was ever invented. So that's one thing. But the bigger thing is that, you know what? We want to pay you for this kind of product placement, but then you have to nix this one scene because our product can't be affiliated with that. And you want to be affiliated with our product because we're going to pay you $10 million if you do. And you know what? Then those cuts are going to be made. And that's the issue. And the scary thing is that as a consumer, if you rely on streaming, there's nothing you can do to change it, because streaming is where that thing is going to be at. In streaming, they can do pretty much whatever the hell they want with the movies. Because even if you buy them on streaming, you don't really buy them. You don't own them. They can do anything they want with them at any time. So in terms of preservation, of preserving original art, and I consider it art, no matter how shitty it may be, after a certain level, any movie, any TV series becomes a work of art. You can make changes to it. I'm not saying otherwise. For instance, the restoration of Star Trek, the original series, I thought that was pretty fantastic, honestly. Same with The Next Generation. But you still have the original unaltered versions preserved and ready to go. On the Star Trek Blu-rays, you can choose between, do you want the original version in high definition, or do you want the restored version? You get both of them. That's good. So keep on to those things, because there's your option. But give it time. You're not going to have that option anymore. Suddenly, they will be bringing, Picard will not be drinking tea, Earl Grey, hot. He could be drinking Nespresso, double, if they suddenly pay more.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to mess with things that are kind of time oriented so much. But again, this is just talking theoretically. But no, it totally could be something to where, like you just said, like if it could affect a lot of things though in a way that are adverse. Though movies that a great example is Back to the Future. I mean, he goes in and he orders a Pepsi, right? Like, what if they change that to Coke? That kind of changes part of the joke because he orders a Pepsi free, which at the time was what was the name for decaffeinated Pepsi. They didn't have a Coke free. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do that joke the same way. You know, he's like, I can't get, if you want a Pepsi, you're going to pay for it, pal. You know, that kind of a thing. And then in Back to the Future 2 specifically, and in the other things that Zemeckis made sure they picked product, they rejected product placements and only took products that they knew they could make look different throughout time, because he's like, Texaco changed their logo. Shell didn't. So I chose Texaco instead of Shell because there was a distinct difference in the logo and you could tell, you know, that kind of a thing. Like he specifically chose those for that reason. And that's another thing, is you're going to start dicking around with the initial intentions of some of these things. You know, look at, go ahead.
No, now I'm thinking of how I can approach Blood In, Blood Out and, you know, get a product placement in that movie, you know, like Pillsbury Doughboy, you know, King Taco, Cheech and Chong Lowriders. I don't know, man.
Well, speaking of King Taco, what if, like, all of a sudden Warner Brothers takes a bunch of money from King Taco to replace Taco Bell instead of make it King Taco and Demolition Man?
Right. That's right.
Hey, I heard my name, man. What's going on?
Hey,
Cheech,
can we get your movie sponsored by Santita's tortilla chips?
Oh, sure, man. I eat those all the time.
Yeah, be kind of funny, man.
But
and then, like, on all the homeboys, you know, bandanas, you know, we can put the little Midnight's Edge Espanol on there.
But I mean, I mean, just outside of the whole, you know, sure, they can change maybe a couple of products and it wouldn't change anything. But again, like I brought up, and I do feel like that's the avenue we're looking at, is they could change a lot more than just a product.
It's a slippery slope. That's the scary thing there. Like, for instance, I was recently, I was rewatching Life of Brian, which is a film that only gets better and better and more relevant.
He's a very dirty boy.
There's trans jokes in it. Remember that scene?
Yeah.
Because hang on to your Blu-ray, because I wonder how long it's going to take before Netflix catches on and removes it.
Why do you think I buy almost every Blu-ray that comes out?
Yeah.
Not every, but damn near.
Well, I know you do, but I mean, like, everyone out there, like, hang on to Life of Brian, because there's a scene there that if, like, the wrong crowd rewatches that movie, they're going to like, you have no idea.
It's only a matter of time, Andre.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Is that movie on 4K yet? I think I'm going to go to get it right now.
Which one?
Life of Brian.
No, none of the.
What it was?
No, just regular.
Are all the Python movies MGM, or are they just
No, they're all over the fucking place.
Okay.
Sony owns the rights to Holy Grail. Universal owns the rights to I think both Life of Brian and Meaning of Life, if I'm not mistaken. And then I think now for something completely different, I think he's owned by Warner Brothers. If I'm not mistaken.
Well, now for something completely different, was only it's their best sketches, and they just redid
them. Yeah,
to try to introduce them to the U.S.
No, but it still counts. I think that's how I've seen most of those skits originally. Honestly,
oh, it's still great. I mean, God, you can't do much better than that. And some of the sketches actually hold up better like that now. Like the value of not being seen is actually better than the TV version, because you're not being prompted to laugh. You know, you're just letting it happen organically.
Ollie, your thoughts on film studios being able to earn more money by allowing advertisers to retroactively insert advertisements into movies by way of product placement. How excited are you for that prospect? Paul, you have to go again?
Seems like it.
Yeah, well, apparently.
I think so, yeah. But another part of this, we can bounce back to that. Another part of this, before we lose you, Rob, because I wanted to get your take on this. Now, remember recently. Okay, Life of Brian is also Sony. Okay, I knew two of them were owned by one company and the other two were owned by other companies. But anyhow, back to where I was getting to. Recently, we had the news. Remember, our source had reported they're going to do some reshoots on Bond and they're going to hide it for some other reason. Delayed it originally for the Coof, and then now it's been delayed for God knows how long now, and it's supposed to be out in November. But they're still supposed to be reshooting it to fix the phones.
Please,
the phones are out of date.
Please let this be good. Please.
No, it's not good. But my point is,
but you know what I mean. Please.
Like this news right here just goes to show what I was saying then, is that the reshooting for the phones is bullshit, because you would just use CGI to fix it. You would not be bringing everybody back just to reshoot it for fucking phones.
I saw there's a Nokia ad with Lashana Lynch in her part as whatever the hell character she's going to be playing in the Bond movie. I'm like, yeah, you know what? This is not doing anything for me right here. I do not want to see Bond as a guest star in his own movie, but I know that's beside the point what we're saying here. But you're right, Tom. They could easily. Hey, listen, if you could take the guns out of the cops' hands in ET, you can certainly just CGI over a cell phone.
Yeah, and everybody I presented it to said the same damn thing. So again, I mean, I know that's a little off topic here, but this story just kind of supports my point on that. But anyway, I just thought you'd find that interesting anyway. But yeah, overall though, this whole idea of being able to switch things out and film so easily and willy-nilly without even a care in the world for the art, it really does bother me, because it opens up too many doors, too many slippery slopes, whatever you want to put there. Paulie, did you want to comment on this more now that you kind of know what we're talking about, or
what happened?
No, never mind. You're still busy. My bad.
No, I'm here.
I just didn't know if you wanted to comment on this at all.
He sounds like me. Who said who in the what now?
No, we're just juggling a bunch of things here. So sorry about that. Getting Midnight's Edge Espanol interviews ready and some other stuff. Mexican Iron Man gives a big saludos to everyone. He's going through. He's getting ready for his big move across country. So I was just dealing with him right now.
Cool. Very.
He says hello. He gives his best.
Well, hola.
Excellent.
So sorry, I can't be answering that, but I'm here right now.
No, that's fine. But I know we had a few super chats that came in since then. I can only go so far back, but I think these might be the only two. But while I'm reading these, you can check, Andre. Diego Flores said, I think Paulie is setting up for interviews we have later today, which is just what he was saying. So, yeah, he's just busy in the background, which is fine. I'm glad to just have him here just the same. And then Ready Player 3, like that logo, says more incentive to buy physical media and older discs rather than new re-releases. That's going to be the funny thing, is I don't know if this will affect Blu-ray releases so much, but it could. And you could see, like, okay, let's just say for the sake of argument, Doritos wants to sponsor the latest re-release, the remaster of the first Transformers movie. So they make sure that all the billboards are changed to Doritos in there. Like that could happen. But I see that being a less likely thing. I think what Andre was saying is more likely, and that is it's something that'll happen on your Netflix version or your streaming version you may have bought, and you just won't even know it. It won't broadcast it. They won't tell you this thing. You'll just
they'll just do it. Yeah. And also, they'll phase out physical media. So, like, you can get physical media right now. Say 10 years from now, you won't have the physical media option at all. Streaming is the only thing it's going to be.
Yeah,
and even now, like Will
They're
you
already
ever
phasing
get a
it out.
physical version of The Mandalorian, for instance?
Nope.
Probably not going to happen.
Nope.
I'm like playing catch up on the physical media. I'm buying DVDs. I got the DVD player. I need to get a universal DVD remote control.
Yeah, those are
So,
pretty plentiful.
yeah.
I've even heard some cell phones you can use as a universal remote if they have the
Really?
if they have the FM deal in.
I can use my cell phone as a remote for my Amazon Fire Stick.
Yeah, for certain smart things, especially, you can use it.
Fire Stick, but this is an old.
Yeah, you may have to go back and get an old one, but I've seen my kid has done it before. I don't know.
Insignia DVD and VHS player that I got.
Yeah.
And I played them. I just can't control the DVDs. I can control the VHSs. Anyways,
Just type the model in and type in universal remote, and something should come up somewhere.
yeah. I'm waiting for that tax return. I'm going to buy a bunch of new toys.
I got lucky that one time, and I found a 4K HD Blu-ray player for $7 at Goodwill.
There's
I
that.
don't think they knew what they had. That's why I was like, "Holy shit, yeah, I'm buying this."
Where I got that lunch pail at? I'm gonna go back there because they had like they basically have a bookcase of DVDs and Blu-rays that they're selling for 3 for $10.
Well, what reminded me of that is I had to buy the remote for it because it didn't have a remote. The remote cost me more than the Blu-ray player did. But I just looked for that model remote on eBay and I just bought one from someone. Or no, I think I got one brand new on Amazon. It's just a replacement remote. But it was like $1 more than what I paid for the machine.
I mean, Insignia is still pretty it's not like your random brand. That's a pretty big brand.
Yeah, they're all right.
Yeah.
Are you using it more for the VCR aspect, obviously?
I mean, at this point, both. I mean, I would just play it here in my office because it's connected to the flat screen.
Gotcha.
But the VHS, I could play the movies.
DVD players are like a dime a dozen, man. That's why I ask. Because like VCRs, on the other hand, they're not so easy to find, especially good ones. Because anything made in the last like 10, 15 years of the life of cycle of VHS suck.
Yeah, for a good one, you have to have like an original that was good in 1998. Those are still good.
Yeah, late 90s models are generally the best you can find. If you can find a hi-fi stereo in any name brand in the late 90s, you're probably good to go. Those are generally the best of the best.
No, because at that time they didn't mind physical media, not like now, the last 10 years, where they basically built obsolescence into quite a few things. And this is like true for video games as well. This is something that should concern Rob, being more of a gamer, with like this whole C-bomb thing that's been revealed in the last few days. And it's even worse on the Xbox.
I don't know much about this. Does anybody else really know anything?
Well, here's the whole thing. I'm reading here from IGN India, and the IGN I always say isn't worth the paper it's printed on. They're using an anachronistic thing here. The whole issue here is there's a battery inside your console, much like you have inside your PC, and when that gets drained out, it won't be able to. It'll ask. Your console will ask to be synced the day and time to a remote server. And if that server is offline, then you're going to be locked out of your games. I'm like, well, that's a lot of ifs, guys.
Actually, there's no if about it. There is no if. Like, then you've been reading bad news here, because there's no ifs. This is absolutely an issue. It's not an issue for the PlayStation 5 yet. It's not an issue for the PlayStation 4 yet, although it will be in a few years. It is becoming an issue for the PlayStation 3, although there are ways around that. Because there are two things. You have this battery, and what this battery does is that it allows it tells the internal timer of the PlayStation Network, something like that, what time it is. And so the PlayStation Network functionality is able to continue. And if this battery stops working, then that's fine, because you can do exactly the same thing by logging into the PlayStation Network. So this is fine if you have one of the two working. But the day when both are working, when they have shut down the PlayStation Network for that console, and you can't replace the battery. Then the console is a brick. In the case of PlayStation 4, the day in the future when they've shut down the PlayStation Store or PlayStation Network for the PlayStation 4. I mean, that's years into the future.
Yeah,
when that day comes, that console is a brick. You won't even be able to play physical games on it. It'll be completely useless.
Is somebody kidnapping Paulie? What's going on?
Oh, okay.
I don't know what's going on. I was like, not even sure if he wanted me to show the screen yet.
So I wanted to show you the machine.
Oh, okay. There you
and
go.
I was having problems with my camera, of course. There's my wash and dryer.
Can't really. Oh, it is stereo at least, but depends on how old it is.
It's on top of his printer.
I see you got the Star Wars trilogy sitting there.
Oh, Lord.
Well,
there it is.
Oh, cool.
Depends how old it is.
Well, I was about to say to Andre, the thing about that is like, it'll be an issue for the PS4, but chances are you're going to be replacing your PS4 with the PS5 or your PS5 with the PS6 or whatever you have.
Yeah, but you're not going to be able to replace all the games you have.
That's true, but at the same time, and I always explain it this way.
And that's fine. It doesn't matter for those that only play the new stuff and don't care. But for those that want to preserve what they have, it's a big issue because that's not going to be possible, not without hacking.
Well, my question is then, does this just affect the online games or is this your physical games you're trying to play too?
No, on the PlayStation 4, it's a physical game. You won't be able to play physical games either. The entire console is going to be bricked and there will be no way to fix it other than to hack it. Whereas on the PlayStation 3, what's going to happen there is that you can still play the physical games. You just won't be able to access anything that's in the PlayStation Network, nor any patches that have come later for the physical games. But on it, you can still play the physical games. Whereas on both the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5, in that day in the future when those stores are shut down, you won't even be able to play games on discs. The entire console will be bricked.
I got games I ain't even opened yet.
Well, I always say it like this: somebody will find a way. If I can boot up, if I
on
can
on PlayStation 3, there is a way, and I think there is on PlayStation 4 as well. But that way involves.
Well, Hijabi Gamer says we're wrong.
Oh, okay, yeah, but maybe I understood it wrong then.
Actually,
correct me.
I think we know each other on Twitter. If you're available right now, if you know more about this,
do come on if you can, and shed some light on me.
One of the things
on the situation.
One of the things, though, that I always have to remind some people of is that the whole idea behind a video game console is that they do not make a profit on the hardware. They make a profit on
the software.
On the software.
Oh, okay. Basically, what I was wrong about is she says you won't be able to play physical games on PS3. Yeah. So I'm right about everything else.
It's just the same. If you want to come on in,
will also be a complete brick.
Just the same. If you want to come on in and help us explain it, because I'm totally still lost on this.
Yeah. But at the same, like I said, at the same time, like, like it or not, they don't want you playing your old games forever. They want you buying new games. It's the same way where Gillette sells you the handle for $8, but the refills are $25. I mean, it's literally called the razor blade model. Yeah. That being said, like I said, somebody will find a way to get these to work. And this is like I said, your problem. For the people that are saying, "Oh well, preservation," I always ask them,
"What somebody will do?" But the problem is that you're going to have to hack it in order to have it continue working the way that it always should be working.
Okay, well,
it has a time built into it, and you're going to have to hack it to diffuse it.
And the percentage,
we're going to have the Hijabi Gamer coming in 5 minutes to explain all this to us.
Okay,
perfect.
But like I said, the percentage of
another
people
language to me.
The percentage of people, the percentage of people who are willing to hack are probably going to be a very small percentage, and the ones that are just more concerned about playing the latest Ratchet and Clank game are gonna be doing just that. Like I said, this is an industry that is built upon the idea of built-in obsolescence. I mean, so it's not surprising that at some point.
No, it's not surprising in the slightest, but but that doesn't make it okay.
Well, I was going to say, while we're waiting for Hijabi Gamer, why don't we go back and get our classic super chats, because I lost them all now on the screen.
Hold on, please.
Lead us back into this conversation.
Rob, preservation matters. The video game developers themselves usually hide and eventually lose the source code for their own games. Yeah, well, you know what? Because there's no reason to keep it. Because of the architecture that new games and new consoles are built on require oftentimes a completely different source code.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why you have to have the original console still working. When they have a time bomb in them that essentially make them all explode, means that you can never play those games again. They will be lost to history.
Well,
that's exactly why it's stupid to put a time bomb into them.
But
again, it's not stupid from their point of view. From their point of view, it's fantastic. From our point of view,
look at Diego's.
At the same time, I'm not exactly anxious to play Blast Chamber again. I mean, there's a lot of games that just aren't very good. They're very, very small percentage of games you're actually going to want to revisit. And for those people who do, they will find a way.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hijabi Gamer, how you doing? Don't be nervous. We're all friends here, so don't. except Tom. No, I'm only kidding. Only kidding.
Don't be nervous.
Just give me 1 minute to get over my Star Truck.
Star Truck. That's the latest series from Alex Kurtzman.
She's starstruck.
Oh, come on. No.
Yeah. No worries. In the meantime, but first I want to say welcome. It's a pleasure to have you on. Everyone, the Hijabi Gamer. If you haven't seen her channel yet, you absolutely should. And it's a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah.
So welcome to Midnight's Edge. And how are you?
In shock and awe because I've been listening to you for years.
Well,
thank you.
Well, thanks for that. It's a pleasure to finally have you here.
And I've been listening to your channel for a little while now too. Yeah, I really like it.
So just 1 minute, totally Star Trek. I mean, I can't believe I'm actually in a live chat with Andre, Tom, and Rob. Oh my god!
And
Paulie.
It's okay.
Well, Paulie, I haven't known as long, but
no,
Andre,
I'm new here too.
Oh my god, you're like my hero. Tom, Rob.
Hijabi, I still get the butterflies. So
no, come on.
You're in the same. It's all good.
No,
you're in good company.
I've been listening to you guys since the first time I remember Tom and Rob were doing this. They're like, this is the first time Midnight's Edge After Dark. And it's we're joining with Midnight's Edge, and you had an original channel. I'm like, I've been listening to you for that long, so you're like celebrities to me.
Awesome!
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
It's high praise. Thank you very much.
I remember exactly when that was. That would place us back to 2017.
Oh.
Yeah. So I just was using a different account, so that's why you did notice this same account. So yeah, I just. Wow. Anyway, it's an honor to actually get to talk to you guys. Wow.
No, the honor's ours, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome to Midnight's Edge, and you're among friends here. So just relax and chill back.
You're awesome. You're gonna do great.
Because I'm not that big a gamer. Of course, I am a gamer, but I'm a retro gamer. That's why I like my Sega Mega Drive. It's analog. My great grandkids can inherit my analog Sega Mega Drive long after I'm dust, because it'll continue working forever, and so will the games on it, provided that they are maintained.
Yeah.
And outlive us all. But it's not like that since the PlayStation 3 and onwards. So you follow this more closely than us, I'm sure. What's the issue?
So Spawnwave has a YouTube channel, and he actually experimented with it. So he took apart a PlayStation 3 and he removed the CMOS. So there's a small battery on the motherboard for the PlayStation 3, and it connects. It follows the date, so it gives you a internal date that you can't change, and so it syncs with the trophies. So he found that even if you use a physical copy of a video game and the battery has been removed, unless you can link it to the PlayStation Network, your console will not work. It will not play physical media. It will not play digital media. He said even if you were to replace the battery, so let's say the battery dies and you want to replace it, if the PlayStation Network is down, your console will not work, physical or digital. PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4. They're assuming it's going to be the same for the PlayStation 5. Xbox, on the other hand, is different because Xbox has been very big on backwards compatibility. So they're not only do they can you put an Xbox 360 game in, say, your Xbox One, they're like enhancing them. So they're older games that are actually looking better because, they're playing on an Xbox Series X. So Xbox is actually doing a lot more to preserve older games. They understand that they have an audience. Recently, they were talking about closing down the PlayStation 3 store and the PlayStation Vita and the PSP stores. And the backlash from customers was so high that Sony reversed their decision. They said, we're going to keep the PlayStation 3 and PS Vita stores. We're closing PSP. So this issue is being delayed. But the big problem is you can't even replace the battery. If the network is down and you try to replace the battery in your console, it doesn't make a difference. It needs to sync with the PlayStation Store, which I own a PlayStation 3 still, and it seems to be working right now.
Yeah, I also have a PlayStation 3, and that's pre-jailbroken, so that shouldn't be a problem then.
Now, is there any plans for Sony to possibly have, like, if the PS3, if let's just say for purposes of discussion, if the PS3 gets the store taken down or the trophy server goes offline permanently, do they plan on issuing like a final patch to let it operate offline?
Well, Spotwave also mentioned in another recent video, he said that a customer actually contacted Sony about it, and they gave him the usual PR answer of, we're looking into it. Unless Sony does something, the only other way is to jailbreak your PlayStation 3. Which is silly because the whole thing relies on the trophies and the dates of when you earn trophies. He said that when he took the CMOS battery out of the PlayStation 3, it regressed the date to like 1969. It's weird, really weird things just based on the dates of your trophies.
That's really retro gaming, Andre. 1969.
Yeah.
Wait, is my microphone okay? Because this is a brand new microphone.
It's fine.
Yeah, you sound really good.
Loud and clear. All
doing
good
great.
And well.
Yeah, someone sent me I managed to get a new microphone, and this is my first time using it.
Nice.
No, it sounds really good.
It's perfect. So good job getting it. That's absolutely perfect.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And, yeah,
Oh my god, it's actually.
Okay.
Stay with us. Stay with us.
Come on, we're all friends here. That's all.
I know.
Right.
It's just still, you guys are celebrities to me.
Well, it's our pleasure to have you join the show on such a short notice, and I see in the chat they're also blown away by your clear and well articulated explanation of what's going on there. Now, later I've heard that there are some issues with the Xbox as well. I am unable to recount them, but this is something new. Like in the last 2 days, when people have started looking into it, motivated by the C-bomb thing, and found out that the situation in Xbox is actually much, much worse. Because on the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4, you can hack them, you can jailbreak them, and by jailbreaking, you can maintain the current functionality. But again, this is just me referencing other articles because I don't know this stuff. But apparently, from what I gather, the Xbox is worse because you can't hack it. The only way, there's physical hardware preventions that prevent it from being hacked. So you have some kind of time bomb in there as well.
Oh boy.
And that's worse because there's no getting around it, not without physically going in and doing soldering and hardware manipulations into the console.
Yeah, I'm looking into it right now because I haven't listened to Spawnwave today, which that's where I got the information from. Spawnwave does a YouTube channel, and he used to work, I think, for GameStop, and he takes consoles apart. Your other. Yeah, I'm not
It's
seeing
still
anything.
Greek to me, but I think it makes more sense to at least some of our audience now.
Yeah.
It's still Greek,
Probably,
but
but I don't know exactly
yeah.
the details. I'm just referencing like this
Yeah.
is some stuff I read. I don't know the accuracy of it, but the C-bomb thing, that's absolutely a thing. And again, I'm not a modern gamer. Like I got the PlayStation 2, and I got it to use it as a DVD player, and I got gifted some games to it that I had never really used. Ironically, apart from like the Sega Mega Drive collection, I did use that quite a bit. So yeah, and then I got like the PlayStation 3, and I had that, and I got it jailbroken actually because I used it as a media player because it was the single best media player on the market. And I have a couple of games that I've never used on it, apart from again Sonic Generations, which was pretty sweet, and Rayman, which is also pretty sweet, and again Sega Mega Drive collection. So I'm not worried for myself so much, but it really sucks for those that are hardcore into gaming. Because just to be able to continue to use the games that you have right now, and as
Oh, they
Rob
got Andre.
pointed out, the architecture is different. Unless you're able to preserve it on that console, it's going to be, pardon my French, a right bitch to emulate it later on.
Yeah. Well, no, and the thing is, it isn't just the consoles though, because most of these games, when you buy them, you have a massive update on day one. And if those servers go down, that game is done. So even a game that you have a physical copy, I think they were saying Spyro the Dragon, the trilogy, only the first game is on the disc. I think it's if you have to buy the Switch version. The Witcher 3 is, I think that one's actually good because the entire game is on the Nintendo Switch console. But a lot of games you wouldn't even be able to play them anyway because you need updates for them to work.
Yeah, exactly. That's like the thing that the things that are disk-based, that should still work in some fashion, especially if you jailbreak it. But all patches will be gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I swear by the Sega Mega Drive. Like RoboCop versus Terminator, one of the great games there. It was done at the time when it was like published. And it was as complete then as it is now, and it still kicks ass.
I was when I bought the Division, it took like a 40 gig update. I was like, you know what? Now with this news, game's not that great. I probably won't miss it if that goes down offline. But some stuff you're gonna miss. But like I say, I think somebody will find a way. Somebody will reverse it. There's some pretty smart people out there.
Yeah, there are, but like it's a pretty tough job to come up with an emulator for the PlayStation 3. I mean, like to my awareness, you can emulate up to PlayStation 1 level fairly well. But emulating Sega Saturn, for instance, that is, from what I understand, is difficult. And anything above that, that's getting to be a real problem. Like PlayStation 2, I know you can emulate it, but I don't know how well. And certainly not PlayStation 3 level emulation. I mean, like technology has to come much, much further before you're able to emulate that and come up with another solution that doesn't involve keeping those consoles in some way, shape, or form. I think.
Well, yes and no, because the Xbox 360, when you play an Xbox 360 game in the Xbox One, my understanding is you're playing, they mimic the console, the Xbox 360, they sort of emulate the console in the Xbox One. So you're creating a kind of emulator in the Xbox One. I'm not 100% sure. However, the reason the PlayStation 3 is very difficult to emulate. You notice there's no backwards compatibility for PlayStation 3, even on the PlayStation 5. It's because of the way the hardware was set up for the PlayStation 3. My understanding is I think it had dual cores.
The cell processor, it was called.
Well, not only that, I think it also helps, doesn't it, that Xbox is built basically on a Microsoft for its operating system, basically in the Xbox. Windows. I mean, sorry.
The Xbox was always built on a Windows NT kernel, as I've read, and from what I've read, now don't quote me on this. Maybe Hijabi Gamer, if you have better information, Sony used a version of OpenGL.
That I'm not sure of. I do know that Xbox, that Windows 10, I think it was actually designed, I think, originally for the Xbox, and it was designed for touch screens, and that's why it plays so horribly on the Xbox. I can't remember the details, but some people have pointed out the best way to go is PC.
Oh, the PC Master Race, yeah.
Yeah, I have a PC too, so.
Actually, yeah, I've been playing a lot of PC games lately myself. So I mean, I just bought Company of Heroes, which is actually not too bad.
I played Desert Strike on the Mega Drive recently. It was awesome.
Whereas I've been playing Destiny 2.
Andre, remember Urban Strike with if you cleared a certain amount of level, it would have the thing Elvis is here, and you had to blow up Elvis.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Like they could get away with so many things back then. Like remember also in Revenge of Shinobi, how you have like Joe Musashi the ninja beating up both Spider-Man, Batman, Rambo, Terminator, and Godzilla in one game.
Oh man.
They patched that. They fixed that later when copyright became a thing, and they became aware of like, what, copyright? We can't use Godzilla. Oh, okay, let's change it then. But like the original version has all of those as villains.
Well, I'm just mainly worried because like I've got games I've never even got to play, and I mean I got like the PS4 with the whole VR setup. That I've still got a bunch of games that when I started working here, I just never got time to play anymore. So they're just sitting there in plastic. One of these days, if I ever get a day off, I'd like to be able to play them. I'd hate to, fire it all up and get it all set up and then some bitch don't work. That would really suck.
Yeah,
you can have a day off to play games when we launched Midnight's Edge Gaming.
I know, but I'm just saying, and it didn't take me a lot more than a day because to set all that stuff up would probably take me a day.
I have Ghost of Tsushima for PS4. I still haven't.
It's really
played that.
good.
Yeah, I bought it. I bought it back. I said, wait a minute, there's Ghost of Tsushima game. I'm usually on top of these things. And I'm like, when did this come out? And so I bought it. I still haven't.
It's really it was Players Voice Award of the Year. For the Game Awards, they had the Players Voice instead of they had to vote for players, and it was voted Game of the Year by the players last year. It's really, really good. And I'm normally not a sword player. I wish I could set it up for you, Tom. I know how to set up a PlayStation VR. I have PlayStation VR.
I can set it up. I'm just worried like if I get it all set up and then like my system's all bricked or whatever, like you guys are talking, like that would really, be a bad thing. It's like
in the meantime, though, I know that Polly, you have some very cool interviews to attend, and that you have to set up.
Yes.
So naturally, you have to leave for that. But also now on the Latino slant, there are some other cool stuff to check out. What should people check out on the Latino slant right now?
Oh, right now, there's that interview I did last night with director Kenneth Castillo. That's on the main page. It's featured. It's a great interview, about 2 hours of just this guy's career path, and he's done 7 independent films, and it's just incredible. And his views on Hollywood are amazing. And congratulations, Hijabi Gamer, on being on here. It's great to meet you.
Likewise, I've been listening to you for a while now. It's always a joy to hear you on the channel. It's really interesting. You're always very interesting.
Yeah, thank you. So then we have some killer interviews coming up that we're going to record for Midnight's Edge Español. Midnight's Edge Español will be tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Pacific. For now, for the next 2 weeks, still on the Latino Slant channel, guys.
There you go. So check that out, and I'm sure the wrenches have been sharing the link. So thank you much, Polly, for hopping in. We appreciate it, and you take care, and I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later, guys.
Can I ask you guys something?
Sure, fire.
Did you know that IDW created a Star Trek comic in the 1990s that did the exact same thing that Star Trek Discovery, the Strange New World show was doing? It's called Early Voyages, and it was Pike and Spock. It was, I think, 17 issues, and it even covered the whole smile thing, and it explained why Spock became more logical. No one ever talks about these comics.
I have them. I haven't read them all, but I'm very well aware of them. I haven't read that particular run. What I will say about the IDW comics is the ones that they have released over the last few years, generally, they're so good. They're so good. Why couldn't they have like the writers of the IDW comics do like Star Trek on the big screen? Like the only IDW comics that haven't worked out in Star Trek are ironically the ones that are based around Discovery and the Picard shows. Like they're a mess. But like for instance, their comic book continuation of the Kelvin movies, they're awesome. And especially like the picture books of the original series and how they continued. Like they're right up there with the original series. And like some of those, they're so good. So yeah, I'm familiar with early Voyages, but I haven't read the whole thing. I've read bits and pieces, but I'm not surprised if you say that they're doing the same thing as Strange New Worlds, because that whole thing has been one rip-off after the other.
They also talk about the mission before the cage, because in the cage, Spock is limping and one of the helmsmen has an injured arm, I think. So they talk about the mission, that they show how Spock was injured, and they talk about how his human died, because I think it was the cage, he says that his human had died. No, the menagerie, the longer version of the cage.
Yeah.
He says that his human died, and this explains how his human, who you get really invested in, he was a redhead Irishman, and it's just nobody ever mentions them anymore, the IDW from the 90s. So cool.
Yeah. No, I'd love to visit. Like, we've made reference to the ones that are relevant to Star Trek today, but yeah, IDW, they've done really good with their Star Trek license. They have few companies outside of Dark Horse have done as good with any license as IDW has. And I see that many people in the chat are impressed again with your knowledge, and you're getting more subscribers by the minute. So awesome everyone that have done so. Go and head on over to the Hijabi Gamer, check out her channel and subscribe.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. And we have.
In fact, I'm thinking we might cut that bit out where you explain all the PlayStation stuff and put it up as its own separate video, so people can access it quicker, so they know what the hell's going on. Because it's still, I don't understand it, but you know,
I get the gist of it, because I'm like, wait, they're ending preservation. This is no surprise to me, but it's still horrifying, and gamers need to be aware.
Yeah,
now is the time to keep your physical media, but also maybe consider like looking into some videos detailing jailbreaking. Maybe consider that. That's all I'm gonna say, but yeah.
Well, Tom, you know how when you have an alarm clock and you pull out the plug and the clock remains, and then you plug it back in and the time hasn't changed because there's a small battery? So this is the same thing.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's the internal clock. And in order for the PlayStation to work, if the battery dies, it needs to reset the clock by linking to the PlayStation network. That's how I think of it. So if the network is down and the battery dies and you replace the battery, it doesn't have a place to go and sync the clock.
So is it worse that my PlayStation 4 has been sitting unplugged in for the longest time?
This is something that shouldn't actually happen for, like, they're saying 10, 15 years. Your PlayStation 4 should be fine for a long time. So like, it's something far off in the distance. The PlayStation 3s may start having the issue now, but because they decided not to close the PlayStation 3 store, it's not really an issue until they shut down the network.
Gotcha.
Your PlayStation 4, should be fine. Because mine is also, well, I tend to use my Xbox more.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I got hooked up right now on my main TV, but eventually I plan on getting my PS4 up on my 3D TV and having all the VR stuff all hooked up there and having that for that system. But all right, yeah, that explains a little easier in my layman's terms anyway. Appreciate it.
One other thing that, if you can tell Paulie, because Insignia is Best Buy's brand. A lot of people don't know this.
Ah, yes.
So if he needs to get a replacement for his for his. I know what he has, the VHS
remote?
VH DVD combo. He should go to Best Buy. They might have something that will work. That's a universal remote. That's by Insignia.
Gotcha. I'll let him know that if he's not listening still.
Yeah. All
All
right.
right. Well, if you want to stick
but
around, I think we have some super chats that might.
Yeah,
you
we
be able
do.
to help
We
us
have
with.
some. We have some more super chats to go through. So,
All right.
yeah, just
I gotta-
stick around, and we'll get to that. Rob, of course,
I gotta
can't stick
jump.
around,
Yeah,
but,
I got a couple things I gotta take care of, so I gotta jump. Hijabi Gamer, nice meeting you.
Likewise, it's an honor to meet you, sir. It's an
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I'll give you. How you doing? So, yeah. So, in case you wondered, there's nothing going on under here. So I call this hair alternative treatment, HAT. So
I'm so getting you a Mario hat.
a what?
Yes. I have
Nothing.
one.
A what?
Have one.
A what hat?
Nothing. You'll get it in the mail. Just shush. When I get paid.
yeah, and film the unboxing.
Yes.
Yeah. See, my problem. My problem is right now. I always say, do I buy a new game console or do I buy another guitar? And I always buy another guitar. I'm like, damn it!
Grow a mustache.
Oh no, I look terrible with facial hair.
Just do it.
Yeah. Oh, Martin. Okay.
Or get a fake one.
All right, guys. Hey, have a good rest of the afternoon. Everybody, Hijabi Gamer, nice meeting you. Everybody, be good to each other and yourselves, and take care of each other. I will see you all next time.
Take care.
All right, take care. Then we have some super chats.
Yes.
Douglas Nelson says, "What's required for the entertainment industry is basic management, but the current cultural and political minefield makes this nearly impossible." Yeah, there's an issue. Rambam 3000 says, "There are no arguments from principle for censorship, only arguments from authority." This is indeed the problem and related to the earlier point. Mags says, "This will be like NASCAR and other sports sponsorships. Ads slapped on everywhere." Obviously in reference to what we said earlier about like retroactively inserting commercial
ads.
tie-ins into older movies. So yeah, good luck with that. An accidental tourist said, "Orson Welles on colorizing Citizen Kane. Keep your damn crayons off my movie." I don't know if that's an actual quote. I kind of hope it is, but I can believe that
I think
it is.
it's one of those more famous misquoted lines. I don't remember the exact quote, but it was something similar to that. If I remember.
I'm sure he said something along those lines. And yeah,
I think he
recall
actually
it
said some
movies
more
looks-
like "keep your fucking crayons off my."
Yeah, like
yeah.
recolored movies.
It was a lot worse than
Kind
what
of
it
like
came
crap.
out, yeah.
So yeah, for the most part. And Master Clockwork says, "Digitally inserting or altering product placements isn't new. You can find articles about this from 2014. Yeah, but it's easier now. That's the challenge. Ready Player 3 says, "More incentive to buy physical media and older discs rather than newer re-releases." Ashen Jackal says, "Without physical media, a black market will open." And Rod Thunderheart says, "Yes, Tom, you can download universal remotes for most smartphones. Drove friends crazy switching channels on theirs and pretending not to know anything."
What is happening?
Practical joke.
Now you gave me an idea.
Yeah. And Michael Millard says, "PlayStation Network had the most underrated comic book show Powers cancelled due to no one able to find episodes." I never saw it, but
See,
I
that's
know
the
the
fun-
comic it was good. So yeah.
I saw it.
Yeah,
It's actually good.
I can't believe Sony didn't take advantage of the fact that they had the perfect platform to launch a streaming service on with the PlayStation 3 initially. They could have been so early on in the game. Through all their movies up there,
They could have, but it was a strategic choice to be pure gaming, and it was the right choice at the time. But they didn't change strategy when situation called for it, which would have been around PlayStation 3.
Exactly. Yeah, like because
Yeah.
they would have launched a streaming service built specifically like that, and they could have even called it like the Sony PS streaming network or whatever. I mean, I know they tried with Crackle and all this other stuff, but I mean, a pay service where they actually had all of like Sony's movies and like access to a bunch of their TV properties that they own, which they do own a lot. And even maybe like some exclusive, like you could have even had a lot of, there you go, like shows like that and shows built off their video game properties and stuff. It was a very big missed opportunity, if you ask me. And now it's way too late to try and start something. That's why Sony made their deal with Netflix.
Yeah. And then next one is from my countryman Paulus Plain, who says for 50 Norwegian krona, tusen takk, André, tell the Americans about the movie box of the 1980s. P.S. Love from Norway. Okay, the movie box. Back in the 1980s, not everyone actually owned a VHS player for themselves, or a Betamax for that matter. So most video store rentals, you could also rent a movie box. And what a movie box was basically a playback-only VHS or Betamax player that you could rent alongside the movie, so that people that didn't own a VHS or Betamax player could still see the movie. So
we had similar stuff here.
There. Yeah, I would be surprised if you didn't.
In fact, all the early
we're
VCRs
still
for
ahead of the curve on stuff like that.
I was going to say, in fact, all the VCRs for the early on ones, they were specifically built that they didn't have recording mechanisms in them when you rented them. Yeah, they had specific rental-only units.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is what that, so that you wouldn't like record over the tapes by accident.
Well, yeah, not just that. There's other reasons, but yeah.
Yeah, of course. You also had like the check things, means that you couldn't record, but that's easy enough to bypass if you know how. And then Diego Flores says, Andre, hacked consoles in Latin America is not an option. It's a standard for us. Also, you should have called Geek Tropology. He and I talked about it yesterday on stream.
Yeah, he's another guy I plan on having on eventually, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have him on, but again, this was something more of a spur of the moment, since it kind of like spun off from the
and I think he's helping out
classics talk. But yeah,
I think he's also helping out with Midnight's Adjust Manual, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
actually, well,
he is. He's part of that. I mean, he may be part of the interview. So
there you go.
Yeah. And Joel Rice says for €2, hail the Hijabi Gamer and Meet. Awesome community. Totally. We have the best community, such as the Hijabi Gamer who comes on short notice. So that's awesome.
Which we appreciate, by the way. Yeah, totally. Like on short notice.
Yeah. And Rod Thunderheart says for 10 Canadian dollars, thank you so much. My friend who, sailed the high seas, downloaded many movies, showed me how to upload and save movies onto the PlayStation 3. Usually discs, but the Hitachi hard drive with same mini USB as controller can be used. There are many ways that you could use the PlayStation 3. Like I used it myself as a media player before the NVIDIA Shield and Kodi was a thing that the PlayStation 3 was to go to. So I'm not going to go into any more details about that. I'm just going to go. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm going to just go and say, look for videos talking about jailbreaking to see some of the opportunities and risks, so pay close attention to that. Fat Steven Seagal says, Eyes Up Guardian. This is the nicest panel ever. THG. The Hijabi Gamer. Of course. That's good for it. Yeah.
Andre's not good with like the acronyms and stuff, neither am I.
No, I have to stop and think for some of them. And Fat Steven Seagal says, Andre, but the Soon was the ultimate media player. Yeah, it was, in the idea of its designer. There came many more ultimate ones by the time it was produced and on market. Rod Thunderheart says for 10 Canadian dollars, thank you so much. I've got 2 PS3s. One is full backwards compatible, with a large hard drive, and the model I bought doesn't have that, though. Still using the Spider-Man logos, but both have a lot of high seas movies uploaded. Yeah, if it has the Spider-Man logo, that would be like the PlayStation 3 fat model, wouldn't it, Hijabi Gamer?
I don't know. I have a PlayStation 3, like not the super slim. I have the slim, but it must be the fat if he's playing.
If it has the silver front, yeah.
Yeah, the fat one, the first version of the fat one is the only one that has full backwards compatibility.
Which is the one I used to have, and then I got tricked I tricked myself into getting a new one because I got pissed. But that's a whole fucking story I'm not getting into.
Yeah. That's a shame because like the first one had heating issues, but in terms of backwards compatibility, that was the only one that could one more time that could play PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, as well as PlayStation 3 games. Like all PlayStation 3s, no matter which model, can play PlayStation 1, but only the very first version
can play the PlayStation 2
model could play PlayStation 2.
And that's what happened is I had the original OG one, and I kept having to send it back in because it kept overheating on me. Well, I called Lemon Law on the fourth time I had to send it in. So I went to but I said, I want to go to the store and pick one up. I'm not going to sit here and send this into you, wait another few months to have it. Because that was my only thing I had to play Blu-rays, games, everything on. And so I said, okay, and they set it up for me. Well, I didn't realize it when I got it. It was the newer model when I got it. So I'm like, oh, shit. And I couldn't play any of the PS2 games. So I ended up having to sell all my PS2 games. It was like, psh.
Yeah, that's the one I have. The one that has the slide drawer, not the slide top. And it came with a camera too, a PlayStation Eye that I sold.
But yeah, for those who don't know, Lemon Law kicks in after the third time you have to send something in for a warranty, by the way. That means they should give you something new on the fourth time. And if they don't, you can request it technically by law.
Huh.
That means they've gotten 3 chances now to get it right the first time.
No.
In most cases, when you do that, unless it's something like a game system where, you know, you have your own personal stuff already on it, they'll generally just give you a new one. Like most TVs and stuff like that, if your TV goes to hell, it's cheaper for them just to give you a new one.
Yeah, I mostly use Geek Squad from Best Buy. So like when my Switch bricked, they gave me a new Switch.
Yeah, and if you're still got questions about it, you can check it out. But I'm pretty sure it's the fourth time you have to take something back in. So yeah. I don't know about federal law, Roger H, but I know it's on the books somewhere because I looked it up and I used it to my advantage at that time. This was like almost 15 years ago now when I did this. This was when the PS3 first came out. It was a long time ago. Yeah, the lemon factor. Yeah.
And then moving on. Roger H also says, Andre, consider getting Mega SD or an EverDrive Pro for your Mega Drive. Nothing beats playing games on original hardware. Actually, it's funny that you should mention that because I've been doing research on which one of the two, the Mega SD or the EverDrive Pro. How do they compare against each other? Which is better? If only getting one, which one should I get? I am inclined towards the Mega SD. I know that the EverDrive Pro is newer, but is it better? I don't know. So please tell me. I'm inclined to the Mega SD. Am I wrong? Should I go for that, or should I go for the EverDrive Pro instead? Convince me. And Hypergiver 2 says, there have also been multiple Star Trek and X-Men crossovers in both novels and comics.
Oh, yeah.
I actually have one of those novels. I have the second one, not the first one. So yeah, there have been some funny crossovers going on there. And Bogue says, can you spoof the NTP they use for the PS3? To which I say, I have no clue. I think you can, but I don't know. You're going to have to refer to those videos detailing exactly everything to do with jailbreaking. They will know. I don't. That's way too technical for me. And Zeno Bit says, bricking consoles isn't the only problem. Cartridges can get worn out, requiring repaired and new capacitors. Yes, this is the one thing with the Sega Mega Drive things, that as long as all connections work, they will continue working. But with too much frequent use, that's an issue. And the disk rot problem, where old disks degrade over time, even just sitting on the shelf. Yeah, this is a thing, especially on disk rot can happen to any disk. Shouldn't happen, but it can happen.
I see. That's the thing, is nobody has really found the true cause, but the best I can come to is it's got to be a combination between the obvious, which is the cheap glue, which is the one that some people have caused.
That seems to be the obvious explanation.
But the other one that I've noticed has got to be something environmental, because I've had a few people come to me and they've said, I've had this massive problem with disk rot. And it's like, but you're having it on so many different disks that it doesn't make sense. That has to be something environmental that's doing that, because if it was a certain specific run, fine. Laser discs, certain runs of those, and certain the ones that came from certain facilities always had certain problems. Even CDs have had issues like that. To me, if you can't trace it back to an official run or something that, like, if you go on Google and everybody's like, yeah, my Beatles White Album constantly, I got disc rot. So did I. Obviously, that means there was a bad run. But I've had guys come to me and say all that their discs are rotting, and it's like, well, then there's something that you're doing wrong with wherever you're storing them, because there cannot be that much of a broad problem in your collection like that. Usually, it's isolated. So, I mean, I've had a few Blu-rays that have already had disc rot, believe it or not, but it's very isolated.
Yeah, it's been known to happen. So,
but mine is purely just because of the sheer number I have. It's only, it's the odds.
When you have huge numbers, it's going to be inevitable. But still, preserve your physical media. And
see, like Emperor Billy Ritchie says, disc rot is preventable, and I believe that's true. If you keep them in a dry area that's within proper conditions, I think you'll be fine. For most part, humidity is the problem. Yeah.
If you live by the sea and you have your window open a lot, that's going to be a challenge. Or another really humid area, that's not ideal storage conditions.
And the amount of heat, if you deal with a lot of heat as well, or even cold, because cold can cause plastic to become brittle, and that would possibly cause it to separate the glue. Because that's really what disc rot is it's the glue getting rotted out, or whatever, between the two pieces of plastic.
Yeah. And Troy Pacelli, he says, to the Hijabi Gamer, don't call Rob sir. He works for a living, and you are wonderful. A blessing to YouTube. So, kind words for you there.
Thank you.
Note that he only singled out that you don't have to call Rob sir. He didn't say anything about Tom.
Okay, sir. I work for a living.
So, and moving on, Straight White Mage says, look up a 1970s movie, Looker, where they predicted the complete digital manipulation of broadcast media to fake footage of the US president. Very interesting. And sent us a diamond super sticker. And Straight White Mage says, I buy retro consoles at the peak of their features compatibility. Slim models remove features, then I'm out. Yeah, this is something that I've learned only too recently, that slim models tend to be cheaper and not necessarily better. You have some historic examples where later models were an improvement, but generally, the first one was as good as it got. Not saying that's a good thing, but that's how it was. And with that, we are actually caught up.
Awesome.
So with that, I'd like to, unless Tom, you have something else to add?
No, I think it was kind of a slow news day because certain other things going on are kind of taking up the news right now. So
and our actually one news. This will you like this, Tom? Season 4 of Cobra Kai coming in.
Oh, I heard that.
The end of the year.
Yep, I heard that. That's true. Yep, that's one bit. So that's one thing to.
That's one
Netflix announce their slate. They
Yeah.
also announced that Witcher or whatever is also on the slate. And all that
Yeah, but who
stuff.
cares?
I know, but I'm just trying to make it for more than just me. But yeah, more Cobra Kai. We knew it was filming, so that's a good thing. But yeah, I want to thank Hijabi Gamer for taking the time to hop in here today. Hopefully I'll hear back from our initial guest again. Maybe there was some mix up that something happened, but it happens sometimes. But Friday, I think Cecil's going to be here.
Wait,
So,
Cecil is real or not? Because I've seen people talking about someone named Cecil, and I was starting to think he's some kind of gaming entertainment kind of like boogeyman. Like everyone talks about this mystical Cecil.
Cecil is life, Cecil is love.
Yeah, he looked real the last times he was here.
I saw someone named Cecil, but then people talk about him like you just said. Cecil is life. Cecil is love. Cecil is just like.
No, Cecil is a real person, yes, but he always hides his face, and yeah, he's a goofy character, but he has his own YouTube channel, and he generally hangs out with Anna and EBS and those guys. But yeah, he's got a comic book coming eventually, maybe.
Okay, because
I think tonight's the last night you can get in on Cash Grab too. By the way, I think tonight at 2 a.m. So we're in the last 12 hours of it, folks. So.
Well, that would be great. Then he can come on Friday and say, now it's too late.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Or he might have extended it by then. We'll see. No, Cecil's a character, that's for sure. Yeah. So I can understand somebody not wondering if he's real or not. But yeah, as far as the person and the character himself, I'm pretty sure both real. Yes.
Yes.
okay.
So as long as he's sober enough to be here on Friday or whatever and doesn't stay up again all night like last time, we should be okay.
Actually, that was 2 times ago.
2 times ago? Okay. Yeah. Well, anyway, you never know what to expect
that.
from Cecil. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So chances are Anna might be here too, just to make sure Cecil, you never know. She's like his pimp. So she says that. So it's not even like a joke. It's,
no, she's not even joking. And she also makes sure that he keeps on drinking because he's really Cecil when he's not quite sober. So yeah.
If you're curious though, check out his channel. He does some great reviews and yeah. We also got another super chat in here, Andre.
Yes, my countryman Paulus Plain says Mars colonies will have big issues with entertainment from Earth. Yeah, more than one, because when we do get them, then they're going to have to deal with time delay. So that's one thing. And
was that a joke also going off of like the whole thing of like, wasn't there some like kids like going, all that thing does is go up and down and they spent all that money on it or some shit like that? I don't know. I wasn't keeping up with it.
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention to it.
But it's like the rover or whatever it was. I don't remember. But yeah.
Oh yeah, that thing. I didn't pay quite close enough.
Yeah, there was like some kids making fun of
the helicopter that was like going up and down on the Martian atmosphere or something.
Yeah, they're like, that's all it does for all that money.
Yeah. Well,
and then like people are like, it's Mars. It's like
well, it only goes to show how badly education system has failed. But yeah, I'm not going to get into that. What I will get into though is I want to say thank you to everyone that joined us today. A special thanks to the Hijabi Gamer for jumping in on such short notice to educate us on gaming matters, which aren't our forte usually. So everyone, do follow the Hijabi Gamer. We'll be sure to add the link to the channel in the description. And also, thank you so much to everyone that have been watching today. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Be sure to check back again on Friday. We'll have some more regular videos before then, hopefully. And with that, Hijabi Gamer, what do you want to plug?
I'm just still in awe and shock. I'm sorry. I cannot believe I'm actually talking to Andre and Tom of all people. Wow. I don't have any. It's Ramadan right now, so my channel's a little unpredictable because I'm fasting. Yeah, plug Koala in the Rain. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that just usually is our out to go. But yeah, check out her channel. And yeah, I'm sure we'll have her back again. So take care of yourselves and each other. And good day.
Koalas in the rain. Koalas in the rain. No fucks given. Koalas.